Hey, what's up, everyone? Sorry, my internet crapped out on me. Hi, everyone. Oh, wow. We got 6 people. Yay! But yeah. Hi, everyone. Hi. Hi, Ize Huma. I'm just gonna call you Ize. Hi, Ize. What's up? Okay, let me start recording. If I suddenly go offline, it might be because it'll be because of my internet or because of my PC being a crappy thing, because occasionally it will blue screen of death for some reason. But anyway, hi everyone, and welcome to my rant stream on the open season movies. Yes, I actually watched all 4 of them. I didn't even know that there was a 4th one at first. I honestly did not know that there was a 4th one at first, but I knew that there were 3 of them, but I didn't know that there was a 4th. But I was like, you know what? Let me go and get these on Blu-ray and watch them. And, well, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. They all suck. Really, what else can I say? They just all suck, but for different reasons. They all range from mediocre to outright awful. They all suck. Like, none of them get more than a 5 from me. They're in the range of 2 to 5 out of 10. So, yeah, they're all just very bad. Okay, so let's start with. Well, first we should probably talk about the series first. Okay, so I forgot to mention here. Let me actually add something here. Okay. Alright. So, let's talk about the series first. Okay, so, again, this series has 4 movies. The first one, which came out in 2006. The second one, which came out in 2008. The third one, which came out in 2010. And the fourth one, which came out in 2015. I believe those are the correct dates. Give or take a year. Yeah. Oh. Well, my case says 2016. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I'll just change it to 2016. Whatever. 2016 apparently. That was 2015. Anyway, but yeah. Okay, so yeah, there are 4 movies, and they all belong to Sony Pictures Animation. So, yeah, Sony Pictures Animation made these movies. And they're not good, as I said. And here are a few interesting tidbits. Apparently, the voice actors for the 2 main characters of these series, Boog and Elliot, Boog the bear and Elliot the deer, their voice actors keep changing in every movie for some reason. I don't know why. Like in the first movie, Boog was voiced by Martin Lawrence and Elliot was voiced by Ashton Kutcher. But then in the second movie, they changed to other people. I can't remember their names. And then in the third movie, they changed again. And in the fourth movie, they changed yet again. And I'm like, why do the voice actors keep changing? I don't know why. Maybe I don't know. Either Sony couldn't get the voice actors to come back, or they just didn't want to do more than a single movie. I don't fucking know. But anyway. Oh, you don't have the DVD anymore? Oh. Sorry, Thomas. But then again, you mean you're not really missing out on much. But, yeah. Sorry you don't have the DVD anymore. Yeah, it sucks when you lose a disc like that. Trust me, I know from experience. But anyway. Oh, and the last three movies they never had theatrical releases in the United States. But only the first movie did. But so they were all like released directly to video. But in Russia, apparently all four movies had theatrical releases because I guess Russia really liked this series for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe it's because one of the main characters is a bear. I don't fucking know. But anyway, let us talk about Open Season 1, which is unarguably the best one in the series. But that's not saying much, as we will soon see. Like, that's not saying much. This was the best one, but it's not saying much. Okay, so let me read the synopsis. Boog is a grizzly bear that has been domesticated almost his whole life. After he causes a series of mishaps at home, his owner, a park ranger, let me put her name in, named Beth, decides it's time to let him go into the wild. Boog immediately hates living there and decides to team up with a deer named Elliot to get back home without getting hunted during the open season. Okay, so from the start, like, we have a premise and it's not bad. The premise itself isn't bad, but the execution is bad. It's our best mediocre, not worst a mess. And there are several reasons. And, you know, I normally talk about the positives and negatives first in these kinds of rant streams, but this time I'm going to do it the other way around. I'm going to talk about the negatives first and then the positives. And I'd say this because the negatives just outweigh the positives for every single damn movie in this series. No joke. The positives do not outweigh the negatives at all. That's how bad these movies are. I don't regret buying them. It's just that they suck. They just suck. But anyway. Let us continue. So, the negatives. So, if there were one word that I could use to describe the entire movie, it would be this. Shallow. This movie is shallow. It uses all the typical tropes of this kind of story, but it does not put much effort into them. Everything is shallow. It's all superficial. Boog's relationship with Elliot is superficial. Boog's character development is superficial. Everything is superficial. Even the conflict with the hunters is superficial. Oh, and by the way, if you watch the trailer for this movie, or the preview or whatever, like it looked as if the conflict with the hunters was going to take up quite a bit of screen time in the movie, but it's in like the very last part of the movie, like the last 15 minutes of the movie, and I'm just like, why? So the trailer's misleading. Yeah, it's just no. But yeah, having the conflict with the hunter, whose name is Shaw, by the way, having that stretched, like, that should have been more of a thing in the movie. Like, it just didn't get enough focus. And apparently Shaw wasn't the only hunter in the movie. There were other hunters there, but, you know, again, okay, well, to be fair, Shaw did show up pretty early in the movie, but he wasn't the only hunter in the conflict. There are other hunters, but they show up like near the very end. So the whole war with the hunters thing, that was very short. It should have been longer than that. But anyway, this movie just sort of exists. Exactly. It's Dumpsville, he's a fairly popular movie reviewer. So he basically described the movie as this: one of the movies ever made. Not one of the best movies ever made, not one of the worst movies ever made, just one of the movies ever made. And that's a pretty apt description, because this movie is just basic. It is so basic and generic. It doesn't it's just so boring. Like it's just there. It's there. Oh, you're about to watch Ice Age 2? Cool. It's just, this movie is just so ugh. Okay, so now let's talk about the problems with this movie in more depth, because like really the first bullet point, it really falls, it all the other bullet points here are just extensions of the first bullet point, but I needed to just emphasize the first bullet point here separately, because the entire movie is shallow. It just feels kind of lazy. Like, it feels like the writers and animators were just doing a bunch of, we're just checking off, we're just like ticking things off, like just checking things off from a checklist. It's like, okay, let's see, we have a premise where two characters have to go from point A to point B, and we have the grumpy bear and the annoying sidekick creature, whatever, and we have a war and conflict, and that's it. This movie is just that lazy. It just does. There's just no depth to any of it, and it feels like this movie was trying to be something like Shrek and Ice Age, and from what I've heard, Over the Hedge, but I've never watched Over the Hedge, so I can't comment on that. But it feels like it was trying to be like those movies, but at the same time just fell flat. Like, it tried to do what they did, but just fucked it up entirely. So let's talk about Boog's character development. It's not even existent. Like, the whole point of the movie was so Boog could, like, go from, you know, being a pampered bear, a pampered show bear, because he did shows with his ranger, and like, he was supposed to go from a pampered show bear to a hardened animal in the wild. Like, he's supposed to adapt to the new to the woods. He doesn't really do that. Like, the movie was trying to set that up, but it just doesn't happen. It doesn't. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. Like, he tries to adjust throughout the entire film, only to fail at every single opportunity. He tries to catch fish, that doesn't go well. He tries to eat pine cones, that doesn't go well. He tries to even take a simple crap in the woods, that doesn't go well. Like, literally he fails. And for whatever reason, towards the end of the movie, where his ranger sees that he's in trouble with the hunters, and she goes to save him, and then she arrives, and he's about to go with her, but he's like, you know what? It's not so bad here. I'm just gonna stay. Bitch, shut the fuck up! Like, why are you saying that? You did not adjust once throughout this entire trip, this entire ordeal. You did not adjust to the woods once, and now all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's not so bad here. Shut the fuck up. No. Shut up. Shut up. Just shut up. Shut the fuck up. Like, no, fam. No. Like, if the writers had made it so that Boog, you know, had been slowly adapting to the woods, that would have made sense. But no, he doesn't change once. The story wants us to believe that he's developed, but he hasn't. Sorry, not sorry. No. And his relationship with Elliot, who's honestly one of the most annoying side characters in the movie ever, and he just gets worse in the sequels, believe it or not. That was almost non-existent too. Like, it was underdeveloped. Like, it could have been decent, but it's just so shallow. Like, for one thing, these two have no chemistry at all. They don't. Like, I don't see any chemistry between them. Like, I get that you know, like, this movie was trying to go for a whole big grumpy creature, small, more cheerful, more annoying creature dynamic, which is fine. Like, that's not a bad trope to use. I mean, Ice Age did it, Shrek did it. It doesn't matter. But this movie doesn't do it very well, because again, I see no chemistry between these two, and like, for the most, they spend most of the time fighting in the film. It's mostly a one-sided conflict with Boog just being done with Elliot's shit, and I don't blame him. But like, it's just so shallow. Like, they do have one moment of bonding in the movie where, you know, they're after Elliot gets like shamed by his former herd or whatever, and then they're both bonding together as losers or whatever. That was nice, but their relationship did not develop further from that. And come the end of the film, the writers want me to believe that, oh, they're best friends. So they like, Boog, you can't go back home. You'll leave Elliot behind. Shut the fuck up. These two barely know each other. Like, no, shut the fuck up. Their relationship is not believable. Shut up. Just shut up. No. And the other animal characters are just like their relationship with Boog is even less developed. Like, they team up with Boog and Elliot to get rid of the hunters, but at the end of the movie, Boog's acting like, I'm friends with these guys now. I don't want to leave any of them behind. Shut the fuck up, dude. You literally like, the conflict with all the hunters was like, again, in the last 15-20 minutes of the film. And he's acting like, we're all my friends now. Shut up, dude. Shut up. You barely know any of these animals. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Just shut up. Like, shut up. Shut up. Just shut up. And that goes into the next point. Well, there's a point after this I want to touch. I'll touch the whole plotline with Elliot's herd later. The side characters feel really pointless in this film. They don't really add much to the film. Like, I really think that the film would have been better if most of them had just been cut, because really most of them are just there. They're just there. They don't really add anything to the film. I mean, a few of them are okay and even funny at times, but most of them are just basic and one-dimensional, very tropey. Like, just I know, it's like, I'm sorry, let me keep this. Sorry, let me I'm trying to read the chat and slide at the same time. It's easier for me to just use OBS Studio, like have my computer with this window open so that I could just look at both the chat and the slide at the same time. But anyway, let me go back to the... But yeah, the side characters were just felt tacked on, and they show up again and again and again in the sequels, and they add even more side characters in the sequels that just don't fucking matter. They're just clutter. They're clutter. God. But anyway, let me go back and read. Oh yeah, and another thing that Tim Man pointed out here. Yeah, this movie uses the whole liar reveal plot trope. Sorry. Where, you know, someone agrees to help somebody else, but they really doing it for their own selfish purposes or whatever. Like, again, not a bad trope to use. Tropes are not necessarily bad. They are tools for storytelling. They're not necessarily bad or good. But again, this movie didn't use that very well. Because, I mean, like, you can have a trope like that. Mulan did it, and it was fine. But here, it doesn't work. Because for one thing, I don't even know why Elliot is so attached to Boog in the first place. I mean, yeah, Boog saved his life. Like, Boog earlier in the film, Elliot was tied to the villain's car, and Boog freed him. I mean, like, yeah, I get that Elliot wants to know Boog better, but he just acts so annoyingly attached for some reason. Yeah, he saved your life, dude, but I don't see why you have to be so... Like, suddenly you're just like, oh, we should be best friends and hang out now. I'm like, fam, calm down. Calm the fuck down. People don't act like this in real life. Like, I don't know. Like, like, his bond with, like, his interest in Boog just felt kind of forced. And I was just like, fam, you need to calm down. See, like, when Donkey did it in the Shrek movies, like, in the first Shrek movie, it didn't feel forced, you know? But here... I feel like Elliot's trying to be a discount Donkey, and it's just not working. I'm sorry, it's not working. It's not working. I feel like they were also trying to take the domestic animal in the wild plot from Madagascar, but made it questionable. Basically, it feels like that, doesn't it? And speaking of which, from what I've heard, I've never watched, like, past the first Madagascar film, but from what I've heard, Madagascar 3 has a similar... premise to open season 3, but does the premise much better from what I've heard, which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Madagascar is overall the better franchise, but that's just something I wanted to point out. I was going to bring it up later, but since Tayman mentioned Madagascar just now, I might as well mention it now as well. Oh, there was a trailer to this movie for the Monster House DVD? Huh. Okay. It's not like Alex and Marty where they had a bond that didn't feel forced. Exactly. Alex and Marty were best friends. You could feel that they were good friends. Here, Boog and Elliot, they're just paired for whatever reason. Okay. It's like this movie is so basic. Oh my god. LMFAO, shut up. That's what I felt like. That's how I felt when I watched the ending to this film. I was just like, shut the fuck up, Boog. You shut up. You had no character arc. Shut the fuck up. At least the breakup between Boog and Elliot wasn't a stupid breakup like most other forms of media do. That is true. I will give the film credit for that much. They have a breakup later in the film, and for believable reasons, because Elliot actually didn't know how to get back to town, and Boog got mad at him for it. Like, again, that breakup wasn't bad. So, I mean, that's one thing the movie did right. But anyway. Or hell, Manny, Sid, and Diego, where they are friends but can get on each other's nerves. Basically, yeah. Yeah, like, their friendship was written pretty well, too. They literally just met up. Exactly like this, like, Boog, you had literally just met these people. And you're already like, I want to stay in the wild here. Even though you have shown no indication, you have not indicated at all that you'd been actually adjusting to the wild. Like, shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up. Just shut the fuck up. Too many side characters. Yeah, exactly. And Elliot is indeed way too attached. And Boog was like, get the fuck away from me. Right? Like, Boog wanted nothing to do with Elliot. And for good reason. Because Elliot is just so unlikable. Oh my god. Like, but to get Elliot, you take Donkey and then just strip out all of his positive traits. And that's what you get. You get Elliot. Reminds me of Amy. Except Amy's actually a better character, but we already know that. Like, Sid got under Manny's skin the first one, but they did grow together. Yeah, exactly. Like, their relationship developed. And again, that's not a bad trope. Have one character get on the other's character's nerves, but over time, you know, that the other character warms up to the annoying character. Shrek did it too, and again, it was fine. But open season just doesn't... it's just so bland. Oh my god, it tried to do that, but just fucked it up entirely. As I said earlier, you know that your movie studio is off to a bit of a lackluster start when you have this movie to be your first movie to be released in theaters at the time of its release. Yeah, Sony really fucked up with this one. But it's okay because we got Into the Spider-Verse later, so I guess they learned somewhere along the line, somewhere down the line, I guess. I hope, maybe, yeah. It seems that way. Because Into the Spider-Verse was great. It was made by... Let me just check. It was made by Sony, right? Yeah, Sony. Yeah. So yeah, they did learn. Sony did get better. Okay, so let me go back to this. Okay. I love the joke in Ice Age 2 where everyone was yelling for Sid to jump off the Eviscerator, then Diego joins in. Ha! Or Hotel Transylvania. Oh, it had that trope too? Huh. We love Amy. We do. Okay, so another subplot that this movie tried to introduce but did nothing with was the whole plot line with Elliot's herd. Like the movie shows... It says at one point that Elliot was once a part of this herd in the wild, but he got kicked out for unknown reasons. I think the movie tried to explain it, but I honestly forgot what the reason was. yeah, like Elliot tries to come back to talk to his love interest Giselle, but then the herd comes and like humiliates him, and then that's all. That's it. That's about it. As Dumpsville puts it, that's about it. Because like that plot line went nowhere. In fact, it was actually an interesting subplot. At least the idea, like like having Elliot like be shunned from his herd, but only to like have the courage to go back in and take what's his. But that plot line didn't go anywhere. That plot line didn't go anywhere. I was hoping for it to go somewhere because it actually seemed interesting at first, but it didn't go anywhere. We focused mostly on Boog trying to get the fuck away from the hunter, which was interesting. Though those were some good action scenes, but that's literally it. It gets dropped by the end of the second act. Exactly. Like it would have been nice to have Elliot come back and like engage in a showdown with the leader of the herd, Ian, or whatever, to reclaim his glory or whatever. I was hoping for something like that. It didn't happen. So I have no reason to care. Anyway, Oh, you were talking about other good Sony animation movies. Oh, never mind. Oh, right. Hotel Transylvania was from Sony, wasn't it? I've watched only the third one. I haven't watched the first two. And I know there's a fourth. There's a fourth, right? Well, whatever. I need to watch that series, as well as Despicable Me, because I haven't watched number 2 or the Minions movie. Just 1, 3, and The Rise of Gru. But anyway, this movie may be a tedious liar revealed story, but there are plenty of other animated movies out there that did it so much better. Exactly. So, oh yeah, that's right. Elliot was run over by a car. He was hit by a car, I guess. And I don't know, like, it just shows him getting hit by a car. I don't think he was actually run over. But he lost one of his antlers in the process, and yeah, that's why they kicked him. I think that's why they kicked him out? Yeah, that's why they kicked him out. That's what Tan Man says anyway. I honestly do not remember. It kind of reminds me of Shadow the Hedgehog, where they brought up certain plot points in certain stories and then they just get dropped, right? Oh, there's a Hotel Transylvania 4? Oh, okay. Despicable Me is kind of ass, TBH. Oh, really? I'm surprised you think that. I actually liked the first film, and the third, and The Rise of Gru. I haven't watched the second one or Minions. I do plan to get all the DVDs at one point, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Hit by a car, somehow lives and gets kicked out. Jesus. Oh yeah, and by the way, about Elliot. Yeah, Elliot. If only Elliot had died, right? Because like really, he's annoying as hell. But the whole losing his antlers thing, that's going to happen a lot in the sequel. So you might as well get used to it. It keeps happening over and over and over because they think it's funny for him to. The writer's style was funny for him to keep losing his antlers. It wasn't. It was just annoying. But anyway, yeah, the herd sucks. The herd sucks. Oh, right, and there's an extra short episode. There's a short called Elliot and Boog's Midnight, or Boog and Elliot's Midnight Bun Run, where they try to steal an RV. They try to steal treats from, like, baked treats from an RV. Cinnamon buns, whatever. It was the RV of Mr. Weenie's owners. Yeah, there's this character named Mr. Weenie. He's a wiener dog who has a German accent or whatever. And yeah, they try to steal the sweets, and then Elliot they cause trouble, and then they get, and then the police shows up, and Elliot manages to escape, but Boog gets caught. And it was boring. It was not entertaining at all. It just wasn't entertaining. Not to mention that it doesn't really make much sense anyway. Like, I have no idea when that took place in the film. I don't think it took place after the film, because Mr. Weenie had like stopped being Mr. At the end of the first film, Mr. Weenie decided to go and live with the animals in the wild. So I have no idea why he's even here in the RV in the first place. Or did this take place sometime during the first film? I don't fucking know. I don't care. The series doesn't care about continuity, as you'll soon see later. But, like, the short episode was just boring. Nothing about it was funny. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. It was just boring. If Elliot had died, the whole movie wouldn't have happened. I know. Trust me, I know. Believe it or not, there's a moment in this movie where Elliot was mistaken for a donkey. Wouldn't surprise me. It's funny. Some random 50-year-old man in Sony Animation who has never written a joke before in his life. This gives the writer of Creature from the Krusty Krab a run for their money. I don't know. I'd say that. I don't know. I feel like Creature from the Krusty Krab might be worse. Then again, I feel like it might be. You know what? On second thought, I think they're both equally bad. But yeah, the humor in this movie, that's something I should also put down. It's hard to say, really, whether this open season is worse than Creature from the Krusty Krab in terms of humor. At least for me. But, like, the humor in this movie sucks. They all suck, really. But I'll just put it here. The humor in this movie just sucks. For all the movies, the humor sucks. But in this one, this one's just no different. Even though it's the first one, it just sucks. I don't know. I feel like this movie is no better than Creature from the Krusty Krab in terms of humor. But at the same time, I don't think it's any worse. But that's just me. It's subjective. But either way, the humor from both just sucks. So whatever. But yeah, the humor in this movie is shit. It's clear that the writers had never written a joke before. And it's like, guys, this is not how humor works. Because for the most part, I was just not laughing. I wasn't. And the humor gets worse in the sequels. It just sucks. But, like, seriously, the jokes are very hit or miss. Usually miss. Very hit or miss. Like, there's just... Again, Ice Age and Shrek had better humor. Literally, whatever this movie does, other movies do better, and it's just really fucking sad. But let's talk about the positives. So, Boog's relationship with his owner Beth was touching. In fact, the scenes with them were like the only good scenes in the movie. I'm not joking. They were the best part of the movie. Like, you could really feel that there was a genuine relationship between those two. It wasn't super deep, but it wasn't shallow like Boog's relationship with Elliot. There was actually some depth to it. It was nice to see. And there's even this little scene that shows how the ranger found Boog in the first place. Like, he was a cub without parents in the wild, and she rescued him. And I was like, oh, that's a nice little detail. And I like how they showed it instead of just outright telling us. So that was nice to see. Like, I really like those scenes. And the final scene was touching too, with the ranger being sad but letting go of Boog so that he could go and live in the wild with his shallow as fuck friends. And I don't mean the characters themselves are shallow in terms of personality, but what I mean is that the relationships with him were shallow. Boog, I mean. But yeah, like, Boog and his owner had a good relationship. And the sheriff character, Gordy, was good. I liked him. He was a very nice guy. He thought that Boog needed to it was time to let Boog go in the wild. The ranger didn't want Boog to leave, but he managed to persuade her to let him go. And he did it pretty gently. He didn't force her to just dump him in the woods. But yeah, he was a pretty cool guy. Like, and he even told her where to to take Boog in the woods so that he'd be safe from hunters because open season was going to start. Um, and when the hunter Beth decided to not hunter, I'm sorry, the ranger Beth, when she decided to go back for Boog after seeing that he was in trouble in the woods, the Gordy didn't even protest. Like he was willing to let him Boog come back, but Beth decided to just let him go anyway. It was for the best. So yeah, Gordy was a very supportive character. He was good. He should have just been in a better movie though. Sad face. Oh yeah, I should also mention that. Okay, there are also a few other positives. Yeah, the final battle scene was good with the hunters. That was good. That was entertaining. And in fact, the scenes with Boog and the hunter were good too. They were entertaining. Boog running away from the hunter. I like that. I like those scenes. They were entertaining. Oh, and the scene with Boog and Elliot at the mini mart. You know, where they break into the mini mart and just cause a whole bunch of havoc. Because they were high on sugar or whatever. Well, technically, Boog was the only one who was high on sugar, but they were both having a lot of fun in there. That was a good scene, and you can even watch it on YouTube. But it was a decently entertaining scene. So those scenes were good as well. But really, again, the negatives outweigh the positives. I have 5 positives here and 7 negatives here. Oh my god. Okay. yeah, this movie's a mess. But I mean, the writers tried. They failed, but they tried. Oh my god. Okay. But yeah, there were some good scenes there. It's just that I feel like the movie would have been better if the number of characters had been cut, and if there was more of a focus on Boog adjusting to the wild. That definitely would have made this movie at least decent. I wouldn't even call it decent. It just sucks. It's mediocre. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. Yeah, there's a video game tie-in. I forgot about it. I have not played that video game. I know about it, but I've not played it. But when I've looked at it, it kind of sucks. But I'm not surprised. It's a tie-in game with the movie. They generally tend to suck. Although, fortunately, most of the ones I own don't suck. I guess I've just been fortunate to find decent or even good movie-based games. Because most of the ones I have don't suck. But anyway. But yeah, the picture on my thumbnail is the same one as the front cover of the DVD of the first movie, yeah. I decided to just go with that one. But yeah, that is Open Season 1. It's okay. It's mediocre, really. It's mediocre. It's not bad, but it's not good. Far from good. It just needed... I think the problem with the movie was just focus. It's focus. It didn't know what to focus on, so it was just kind of meandering at times. And then it brings up the hunter conflict at the end of the movie, almost out of nowhere. And it's just yeah, okay. I mean, not with just the hunter shot. I mean, with the hunters as a whole. When you watch the trailer, you'll think, oh, there's going to be a war between the animals and the hunters. No, that's in the very last part of the film. Sorry, fam. But the villain himself, who's okay, I guess. He's not good, but he's not bad either. He's okay. Yeah, he does show up throughout the entire movie, so there's that at least. But anyway. Let me go back and add something. The hunter with all the conflicts was present only in the last part of the movie. Okay, that's another negative I meant to add, but just didn't. But yeah, that's Open Season 1. It's very basic. It has all the tropes you can think of for a generic storyline like this, and it does not execute any of them to their full potential. So now we get to Open Season 2. Let me just say this now. I think this is the worst one out of all of this movies. I'm sorry, it just sucks. It sucks so badly. Oh my god. It's so bad. Okay, but let me talk about let me cover the synopsis first. So, after a year of searching, Mr. Weenie's former owners, whose names are Bob and Bobby, I think, find him and take him away in their RV against his will. Well, they didn't. Well, I mean, like, and by against his will, like he didn't want to go back, but they couldn't. They didn't understand that. So I'm not trying to make them look like they're bad people. It's just that they didn't read his emotions. But anyway, there's a group of pets that want to turn Mr. Weenie back into a domesticated animal because these pets are owned by friends of Mr. Weenie's owners. So yeah. They hadn't seen Mr. Weenie in a while, and they wanted to turn him back into a domestic animal. So now it's up to Boog and the others to rescue Mr. Weenie before it's too late. And by too late, before he never comes back, or like before he goes like far away to a place where they can't get to him. But whatever. Meanwhile, and this is the subplot here, Elliot has a conflict with his fiancée because he's afraid of commitments. And what I mean by that is that he's okay. So this part doesn't make any sense, and it could have been cut out from the movie entirely. Okay, so Elliot's he's about to get married to his fiancée Giselle. If you remember her from the first film, she was in the first film, but she barely did anything in the first film, so you probably don't remember her. And for whatever reason, Elliot wasn't aware of the fact that marriage is a lifelong commitment. And he's like, "Oh my god, I don't want to get married." And so he gets cold feet at the wedding. Well, no, he shows up, but he's on it. He can't say the words "I do," like when they're doing that whole marriage ceremony thing. He just can't say the words. He couldn't say the words. And yeah, that subplot was shit. But I'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, the film turns the premise of the first movie on its head. So you have an animal so in the first movie, you have an animal that was domesticated but was forced to live in the wild. But here it's the opposite. You have an animal that was living in the wild at one point, but now he's forced to be domesticated again. And that character in this film, in Open Season 2, is Mr. Weenie. So Mr. Weenie is actually the main character in this film. Why? I don't know. But, I mean, it works, I guess. It's not necessarily bad. So Mr. Weenie gets the focus here. But yeah, like, he like, at the end of the first film, he left his owners to live in the wild with all the animals, as I said earlier. But now the owners found him, and now he wants to leave them. He wants to go back to the wild with Boog and the others. So, like, the film took the premise of the first movie and then just flipped it, which is fine. That's not necessarily bad, but too bad that, once again, this is an open season film, so of course the execution of any decent idea is going to be shit. So let's talk about all the negatives, and there are so many of them. Just so many of them. Yeah, exactly, Thomas. You're right. The second open season movie is the worst one out of the bunch. And in terms of animation and humor and plot, like this movie does all of those really badly. Like they all suck in all the movies, but here it's the animation, plot, and what was the third thing? I literally forgot. Oh, humor. The animation, plot, and humor are at its lowest. Are at their lowest here, and it shows a lot. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. As Thomas pointed out, this is the first movie that was direct to video, DTV for short. So it didn't have a theatrical release. It was released right. It was released straight to DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. So, yeah. But yeah, this is the worst movie. Sorry, not sorry. So, for one thing, the animation is noticeably worse than that of the first film. The first film had decent animation. It wasn't great, but it was good. It was decent. And then you see the for some reason it was downgraded in the second film. Yeah, I know it was a direct to sequel thing, but direct to video sequel, I mean, but that's not an excuse. They could have put more effort into the animation, and they didn't, and it shows. The animation just not good here. You can you can tell that the quality dropped quite a bit. It almost took me out of the movie when I first saw it. I was like, ew, what is this? What the fuck is this? Like, no joke. Like, no joke, there's this one scene where there's an explosion at a gas station, and the explosion looks like some generic effect that was just cropped in there. And I was just like, ew, what the fuck is this? What is this shit? Or was that in the third film? I don't think that was the third film, actually. No, I think it was the second film. I can't remember, but Jesus Christ, the animation is just crap. And the plot is shit, too. Again, it had a decent idea. Some animal gets kidnapped by a bunch of humans, and I used the word kidnapped very loosely. And, oh, the animals want to go and get him back. Okay, that's fine. This isn't the first movie to do that, but it's fine. But the plot is shit. It's just all over the place. Like, it's not very engaging. And the villain in this movie, who's some poodle named Fifi or what the fuck ever, is just so fucking obnoxious. Yeah, I'm skipping right to this bullet here. Like, the villain is just so fucking obnoxious, constantly repeating himself and acting extremely neurotic for whatever reason, which is not necessarily bad. Like, you can write neurotic characters very well. Fifi just isn't one of them. Like, Fifi is just so damn annoying, constantly repeating himself for no reason. And I'm just like, dude, shut the fuck up. Please. For 5 seconds, shut the fuck up. You are annoying. You suck as a character. You're annoying. I don't like you. And I just this movie introduces a number of other side characters, the pet characters. Surprisingly, the pet characters are not the worst part of this film. They're actually one of the best parts, but I'll get to that later. Okay, so going back to how shitty the plot is, it's just I don't know how to describe it. It's just so unengaging and stupid. Like, I kept rolling my eyes throughout the entire film because of how much dumb shit was happening on the screen. Like, no joke. Going to the third bullet point here, the main plot literally could have ended within the first 15 minutes of the film. It could have ended. See, like, the animals, Elliot and the others, find the RV of Mr. Weenie's owners at a gas station, and while the owners are out of the RV, like they go into the convenience store. Elliot and the others try to rescue Mr. Weenie. He was chained up to a sink for some reason. I don't know. And So they try to get him out of the chain, and they make it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. Even for animal slapstick standards, it was just it was just dumb and boring and grueling to get through. But they managed to free him. But because Elliot is a huge fucking dumbass, like, he accidentally leaves Mr. Weenie behind. Everyone leaves the RV, like they just hightail it out there. But Elliot accidentally closes the door on Mr. Weenie, who was still trying to leave. Like, he left right after all the others because he was a slow runner due to his tiny legs. Elliot slammed the door on him by accident, and then they end up going back to square one because the owners show up, but surprisingly don't react to the mess in the RV. I don't know. The animals made a mess, but the owners don't react to it. And also the porcupine side character gets stuck in the door. So not only did Elliot waste everyone's time with that plan of his, yeah, he made that whole plan. So of course it was going to go bad. He also got another character. Got trapped in the RV because of him. Like, it's like, really, this whole plot could have ended right here, but no, we have to extend it because reasons. They literally could have just made it to where they could have just taken this part out, but no, we needed a scene where Elliot comes up with a genius plan full of slapstick and only to fail. Yeah, okay. Again, not saying you can't do that. It's just that this film, it happens so early in the film that it honestly makes the whole thing feel like a waste of time. This film actually feels like a waste of time, and not just for this reason of a botched rescue attempt. You'll see later what I mean. The ending makes this film feel entirely pointless. But anyway, let's go on to the subplot, which, as I said, is complete shit. So, okay. Elliot's conflict with his wife, Elliot's conflict with his wife is so fucking forced. Literally, it's just so contrived and forced. Like, it feels so unnecessary and so unnatural. Like, okay, so going back to the rescue attempt. So Elliot comes up with this plan to rescue Mr. Weenie. As I said, it doesn't go well. He gives orders to everyone except Giselle. He just tells her to stand back for whatever reason. And okay, so that plan doesn't go well. So Giselle decides to come up with another plan to save Mr. Weenie. And Elliot, for whatever reason, suddenly starts losing his shit, saying things like, "We're not even married yet, and you're already telling me what to do." And I'm like, dude, you literally just gave orders to everyone, including your wife, or soon-to-be wife. And she didn't mind following your orders, but when she starts giving out orders, it's suddenly a problem. And like, it literally comes out of nowhere. He just starts snapping at her out of nowhere. And I'm just like, fam, you need to calm down. You're being an asshole, a huge asshole. Like, stop. It's just so fucking forced, and it's not even all that important. Like, literally after this conflict with his wife, fiance, whatever, Elliot like separates from the group because he thinks, oh well, you can go with the others to go and save Mr. Weenie. I'll go and find him myself. So he splits off from the group, but not before falling off a cliff, and nobody checks on him, which I don't blame them for because he's an asshole. As I said, he's a dumb asshole. And he literally spends most of the movie just, wandering around, doing nothing of importance, being miserable, whining that he doesn't have his wife and that fiance. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. He doesn't have his fiance by his side. He just spends most of his time wallowing in self-pity, and then it's just completely pointless. This subplot doesn't go anywhere. I mean, it does, but for the most part, it's just floundering about for a while before finally being resolved towards the end of the movie, where Elliot's like, "OMG, I have to go back to my fiance. I love her." And it's just like, okay. Like again, it's not like having a plot with somebody fearing commitment is not bad. Plenty of stories do that. But again, since it's this open season, any trope that it takes is probably going to be botched, and that trope was botched here. It's just like like Elliot just wastes like he just does nothing for most of the film, and then he comes across Mr. Weenie, who manages to escape from from his owner's RV along with the porcupine character, and the dog Mr. Weenie tells Elliot that Boog and Giselle are trying to look for him in some area called Pet Paradise, Pet Paradiso, whatever, some theme park for pets, which is stupid, but whatever, it's open season. And I don't know how Mr. Weenie came to know that, because there's really no way he could have known where Giselle and Boog were. He had no way of knowing. But this movie's stupid, so I at this point I'm just gonna go with it. So Elliot's like, oh my god, I have to go and save my wife and the others, whatever. And he starts becoming relevant again, and it's just like you can tell I'm just done with this film. I honestly don't feel like talking about it anymore. It's just so stupid. It's the worst one out of all of them. I'm not even gonna lie. So Elliot and Mr. Weenie and the porcupine character all go and meet Boog and the squirrel guy and Giselle and all the others. Well, not all the side animals came. Not all the side animals from the woods came. Went to rescue Mr. Weenie, and I was like, thank God, we do not need that many characters. So they all meet up and they all try to go in and save Mr. Weenie, but the pet characters catch them, and then, well, some of them, they catch Giselle and the squirrel guy. I forgot what his name was. I don't care what his name is, to be honest. And they trap them. They tie them up and trap them in some supply closet or some place like that. I don't know. And for whatever reason, one part of the water slide intersects with this supply closet. Like, it literally goes right through the supply closet. I don't know why. There's a reason for it, but it's so contrived that I don't know. Like, I don't know. This movie just wants you to turn your brain off at certain parts, and this is one of them. But then, Elliot comes in and he finds that Giselle and the squirrel guy are trapped, and he it looks like he's about to save them, but he gets trapped too. Like, the movie literally skips right to where he's tied up. Like, it doesn't even show how he got tied up, which I thought was I thought it was okay. It was okay humor, but it was predictable. Even the characters themselves said it was predictable. But, again, it's okay. Like, I don't have a problem with that scene. But, Boog and the other animals also go into the theme park, and they cause a lot of trouble there. I mean, what did you expect? But, yeah, Mr. Weenie, for whatever reason, I forgot, like, he gets distracted by this theme park, and he goes on one of the slides. Boog goes after him, but then his disguise as some dog. He disguises himself as a tiger and then a dog. The other Giselle and the squirrel guy also have disguises. But they also had disguises, but whatever. But Boog's disguise gets washed away by the water, and then some chaos happens where he and Mr. Weenie are going down the slide or whatever, and again, there's this one part of the slide that intersects the supply closet, so Boog goes down and saves Elliot and the others by grabbing them as he goes past the area on the slide, and then the pet animal control comes in. Animal control men, whatever, come in and try to get all the wild animals, but they fail somehow because the people in this universe can't aim for shit, apparently. So, and apparently Boog and the other animals can dodge bullets. I don't know. So, well, not dodge, but miraculously avoid bullets. So some shit happens, and then all the animal control people get knocked out, but the main villain Fifi still wants to. Oh right, I forgot to mention. So not only did the main villain Fifi, the villain, he not only like captured Elliot, Giselle, and the squirrel guy, but he also put shock collars on them. He was planning to kill them, apparently. Yeah, this movie just got really dark all of a sudden. And but after Boog unties everyone, Fifi still tries to kill Elliot, or not Mr. Weenie, Elliot. So like because so like he like Elliot had shock collars on him. So Fifi and Elliot fight or whatever, and they land in the pool at one point, and for some reason, I don't know how it happened, Elliot managed to actually put the shock collars on Fifi without him knowing. Like, they were obscured by his fur, but for some reason, that still doesn't explain how he didn't know that they were there. I don't know. This movie makes no fucking sense. But Fifi is about to use the remote to set off the shock collars to kill Elliot. But like a split second later, he realizes that the shock collar is on himself, and he zaps himself, and it makes him lose all his fur. And then, yeah, so the villain's defeated. Yay! All the wild animals leave the park, and the pet characters who were helping the villain also come along, because why the fuck not? And then, now, here's the fucking moment that makes this entire movie so fucking pointless. So right when the wild animals are about to leave for the woods, Mr. Weenie is all like, you know what? I actually want to stay with my owner. I don't think I can live without her. And I'm just like, so you're telling me that we went through this entire movie trying to rescue your ass, and all of a sudden you just want to stay? Even though, like, at the end of the first film, you actually did not want to be a pet anymore. Like, you literally wasted everyone's time. Like, you made this entire trip pointless. And what makes this even worse is that Elliot is the only one who reacts to this. The other wild animals don't even react to this. Elliot's like, what? You want to stay? But why would you want to stay? But the others don't react to it. Like they're just like, oh, okay, see you later, Mr. Weenie. Or at least they didn't say that, but I can tell that that's how they were feeling. It's just like, okay, so not only did Mr. Weenie waste everyone's time, but almost nobody cares that he's going to stay. Yeah. Even though you all were like, oh, we're gonna save you. Like, we're gonna save you, and then it's like, you want to stay? Okay. And it doesn't make any sense. Because it's revealed right after that Elliot misread the situation he misread Mr. Weenie's kidnapping. He thought that Mr. Weenie was being kidnapped and that he was being assaulted or whatever, but his owner was literally just kissing him and taking him away. And he misread that scene, and the other wild animals get mad at him for it, and rightfully so, but it's like it doesn't make sense to have it placed there after Mr. Weenie says he's going to stay, because the other animals can... you see what I'm saying? How stupid this plot is? Oh my god. This plot's so stupid. Like, you think the other animals would be concerned that Mr. Weenie's going to stay, considering that he was supposedly kidnapped, but after he decides to stay, then it's revealed that he actually wasn't kidnapped at all. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? You see how dumb this movie is? Not only is it a waste of time, but the ending doesn't even make any sense. But hi, Maple. I remember kind of liking the first one, but not caring much for the second one. Yeah, exactly. The second movie just sucks. Almost nobody likes it. Some people would argue that it's better than the sequels. I don't think so, honestly. Even watching it a couple of years back, I can honestly tell how awful this movie is. Yep. Everything about this movie is worse than the original. From the characters being worse than how they were in the original to that random unnecessary pop song at the end. Oh, don't get me started on that. Oh my god. They ended the movie with the worst musical number ever in this series. It was so cringeworthy. And Elliot's off-key singing did not help. It didn't help. I'm not saying that you can't have off-key singing in a film. Like, if you do it right, it can be funny. But it was not funny here. It was just ear-raping. It literally hurt my ears. The final musical number was just so bad. It felt like everyone was singing in different keys, and I was just like, y'all need to pick a key to sing in and stick to it, because I cannot tell what the hell you guys are singing. Like, you guys just botched a song that I didn't even know that song. I didn't even know that song existed before I watched this film, but oh my god, it just they just went and ruined a song like that. It was just so bad. And then, but right before that, Elliot's like, you know what, Giselle, I want to be with you. But he says it in the dumbest way possible, so it just ends up falling flat in terms of emotional depth. Sorry. Not sorry. They want us to think, oh, Elliot's developed. No, he's still a selfish prick who's a complete dumbass. Jesus Christ. Which again brings me to my next point. Elliot is extremely obnoxious in this film. He's obnoxious and irrelevant. I kind of said this earlier, but I'll say it again here. He just, like, he's the second most important character in this film, and yet he is so insufferable, and he's not even all that important. You could literally cut him out for most of the film, and it would not matter. Because again, like, if for like during the middle section of the film, he doesn't do anything other than cry about not being with Giselle. That's literally all he fucking does, and it's so irritating. Jesus Christ. And the humor is even worse than before. Like, the humor from the first one was bad, but at least they didn't put in too many jokes. Here they put in so many jokes and almost none of them worked. It was so try-hard. I'm like, what is this movie? This doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like some really bad TV special. And the animation quality doesn't help. It really doesn't. And yeah, for whatever reason, the villain is just way too try-hard here. He really seemed hell-bent on getting Mr. Weenie to be domesticated again. Which ends up happening, but not by his own means. And then, like, it goes from wanting to domesticate Mr. Weenie to wanting to, like, kill any wild animals, because he had some stupid experience with wild animals. It was really dumb, though, because all he just did was go into his backyard to get a toy, and he got freaked out by a simple bunny, a simple bug, and a simple squirrel or whatever. And then he accidentally zapped himself with a bug zapper nearby. And then that's what scarred him. I'm like, dude, have you never been in your backyard before? In that patch of your backyard? With all the vegetables? Like, because, like, dude, how are you scared by all that? It would make more sense. They should have just had it to where he and his owner were in the woods playing, and then that's when he got scared. Like, that would have made more sense, but no, this all happened in his backyard. So I'm like, dude, have you never been to your backyard before? Get over yourself. You're being a little bitch. Literally. Well, he's a male, but I don't care. But anyway. Yeah, like, why did they make Mr. Weenie so important in this film? It doesn't make any fucking sense. And they brought him back in the third movie, and he's extremely irrelevant there, but I'll explain that later. At least there's no Norma the North. Ugh. I've heard bad things about that movie. Oh my god, I need to watch a review of that, because from what I've heard, that movie is absolutely terrible, and for whatever reason, it feels like it's basically glorified China worship. I don't know, like constantly like constantly promoting Chen or whatever. That's what I've heard anyway. I don't know. Yeah, he went back to his owners at the end of the second movie, so again, this whole thing was fucking pointless. Oh my fucking god, this chat window is pissing me. There we go. Oh, you were on vacation, Thomas? Oh, cool. Oh, you know, I would love to travel in an RV. That actually seems pretty fun. Other than that, I don't have much thoughts. I don't have many thoughts on these movies. They just exist. That's the thing. These movies just exist. They just exist. That's the thing. They literally just exist. They just exist. God. Okay, let's see. What else can I cover? The climax was dumb. Well, I basically talked about the climax with the whole shot collar thing, so I already talked about that bullet point without even realizing it. It was stupid. Like, this whole plot of Fifi wanting to shock the wild animals, it was so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. And I think I covered just about everything at all of these bullet points. Some of them I covered without even realizing it. But yeah, like, Jesus Anime Christ. Holy shit. This second movie was just terrible. Like, if you thought the first one was bad, oh, you have not watched the second one. It is even worse. It doesn't even feel like a movie. Like, the third and fourth ones actually felt like movies. Sort of. The second one didn't feel like a movie at all. These movies are kind of like a lesser version of the Madagascar series. And Over the Hedge. And Ice Age. And Shrek. Basically. It tries to do what those movies did, but does them worse. It's like this movie has absolutely no idea how. It's the writers just simply did not know how to make a compelling story. That's it. That's all I can say. And this second movie is just the worst. But let me go and talk about the positives. There aren't very many, very few compared to the other movies, but anyway. I will say that the pet characters were mildly interesting. And I said including the villain. And I know it's oxymoronic because I just said the villain was obnoxious, but at the same time, I did find him endearing in this sort of way. Like there are times where he was ridiculous, but it was actually kind of funny. Like for the most part, he was annoying, but there were a few moments where I actually didn't mind him as a character. They just needed to tone him down. If they had toned him down, I feel like he would have been an okay character. But I will admit that he's better than Elliot. He was a better character than Elliot. And his voice actor actually did a decent job with him, as Thomas pointed out in the chat. And the final showdown was entertaining, as Thomas pointed out in the chat. You know, the scenes in the theme park for the pets, those were entertaining. That was actually the best part of the movie, the theme park segments. I actually liked that part of the movie. But everything else was shit. Everything else was shit. That's all I can say. Like, that one part with the theme park was fine. Everything else was just shit. It was shit. That's all I can say about this movie. It just doesn't... It's just so bad. I'm sorry. Like, it just sucks. I give it I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to give this one a 2 out of 10. I'll reveal the scores for the other movies later, but this one just gets a 2 out of 10. It's just so bad. It's so fucking bad. Oh, you attended your dad's brother's wedding. Oh, okay. When you were in California. You were born in California? Hey, okay. And you went to Peace Mill Beach on the last day, but you ran out of time. Oh, damn. Well, I hope you had fun. But yeah, I can't think of any other positives. Almost everyone just sucks in this film. I'm attending my cousin's wedding in 2 months. Oh, nice. Have I attended any weddings within the last decade or so? I don't think I have. I don't think I have. Huh. Have I even been to a wedding before? I think I have. I don't even remember, honestly. I'm not really someone who goes out to these events very much, if at all. But, but yeah, like, I don't. Have I ever even been to a wedding? I don't think I have. Wow. To a funeral, yeah, but to a wedding, I don't think I have. Huh. Maybe I have, but maybe that's when I was like really little. I don't know. But whatever. Anyway. But yeah, that's open season 2. It was just shit. And again, it didn't really feel like a movie. It felt like a waste. It felt like a TV special, and barely even that. This movie just sucked. It's clearly the worst out of all of them. Like in terms of animation, plot, and humor, it just sucks. It's just awful. But let's go to the third one. I think tomorrow I'm gonna like do another rant stream, but this time we're gonna talk about 3 Disney movies, like Encanto or Encanto, Raya and the Last Dragon, and Mulan 2020. Oh man, I can't wait to rip into the last 2 because the first one's good, but the last 2 are not. But anyway, so there's an open season 3. Yeah, great. Okay. Yay. I mean, whatever. It's like, yay, they made a third one. Yay. Great. But surprisingly, it's not as bad as the second one. I actually like this one more than the second one. I even liked Scared Silly, the 4th movie, more than the second one. The second one was the lowest point in the series, even though the series was already at a pretty low point. But yeah, you get what I mean. So, open season 3. Okay, so Boog wants to spend one day out with all of his guy friends in the woods, but they're all too busy with their families and responsibilities and shit. Boog tries to have fun by himself, only to fail. He then notices a circus nearby and falls in love with a female Russian bear named Ursa. Meanwhile, the only other bear in that circus, whose name is Doug, is tired of the circus life and wants something different. So Doug and Boog decide to switch places so that they could experience each other's lives, with disastrous results. Well, for one of them anyway, but I won't say which one just yet. Okay, so this film is like, it takes like the idea from the first film and the idea from the second film, and then just combines them here. So you have Boog, who wants to live life as a circus bear, if just for one night. So he wants to go from being a wild animal to a domestic animal, basically. I don't fucking... I don't know. And Doug wants to do the exact opposite, so he wants to go out and live in the woods because he feels like, oh, I'll have a better life there. The animals will respect me. Because, like, I was respected once in the zoo, but now that's not a thing anymore here in this circus. So I'm just going to go to the woods and maybe I'll get better street cred there. What the fuck ever. I don't know. He's not a very interesting character. But anyway, so yeah, they decide to switch places. So it's basically the Prince of the Pauper, except done a lot worse. So. If I were... Oh my god. Ew, the third film. Right? Come on, Raya wasn't that bad. Fair, it wasn't that bad. It's just that there was this one part that really ticked me off about Raya. It wasn't bad, but it could have been so much better. I haven't seen the third one, so I have no thoughts on it. Well, you're better off skipping it. And the fourth one. But I will admit that they're both better than the second one. So, if I were to summarize this film with the following exchange, it would be this. Almost everyone in the woods has a girlfriend, wife, or family. Boog doesn't have any of that. He needs something to do. Let's give him a girlfriend. Mwah! Genius! That's basically the third film. I'm not joking. That's basically the third film. He just clearly the writers wanted to give him a girlfriend, so why not? Because everyone else had a girlfriend, so or a wife. So they're like, let's give Boog one. Yeah, okay, whatever, sure. Yeah, whatever. I just like it feels like the third movie was made with just that purpose in mind. But I mean, surprisingly, they did pull off that plot. Oh, they did it like it was okay. They did it in an okay manner. So like I guess there's that. But okay, there are a lot of negatives here. See, it's an open season film. Of course, there are going to be negatives. Of course, there are going to be negatives. So many of them. Okay, so let's talk about the biggest problem with this movie, the filler. So the characters return from the second film. They're the best. They were the best part of the second film, but they are the worst parts of this film because they are completely pointless. There is literally no reason for them to be here. They don't add anything to the story. They don't. They don't. Okay, so they find out from watching TV that Boog's in the circus and they think he's in trouble, so they go to rescue him. Except that Ellie and his friends also end up doing the same thing after realizing that Boog has been replaced by an impersonator, so they go and try to rescue him or look for him or whatever. But so it's like, okay, well, if you have one set of animals looking for Boog, do you really need another? Like, these pet characters don't do anything. They literally could have been taken out of the movie and nothing would have changed. They didn't add anything. All they just do is provide some scenes of slapstick that could have been cut out. And honestly, if they had been cut out, then the film would have developed other parts of its story better. But you know, since that didn't happen, we have this. So the pet characters really did not add anything to the film. Mr. Weenie and his friends did not need to be in the film. Fifi returns here, but he's a changed dog. He tries to be calmer. He's still neurotic, but he tries to be calmer and he's nicer, I guess. Whatever. Still doesn't add anything to the story. Yeah, exactly. Shrek the Third was better. Was a more worthwhile installment to its series, and Open Season 3 was to its series. That's actually a very good point. Shrek the Third was entertaining. It wasn't good, but it was entertaining. At least in my opinion. Open Season 3, well, it was more entertaining than the second film, but it still wasn't that good. Although I did like it more than the second film. I will admit that it wasn't as bad. But I'll explain the positives later. So, the pet characters did not need to be there. They could have just been taken out, and the film would have been so much better for it. Doug. Okay, so Doug, a bear who looks similar to Boog, except that he has spiky fur and a different voice. They're voiced by the same person, but they have different voices. So whatever. But he was a shallow character in this film. Like, he could have been interesting. Like, he was presented as a self-centered, egotistical character who wants people to bow down to him and fear him and respect him. Like, that's not necessarily a bad idea for a character, but it just wasn't executed very well. So he tries to boss around the animals in the woods, but then everyone realizes that, oh, it's not Boog, it's Doug. And then they beat him up and tell him where they ask him where Boog is. And he mentions it, and they leave his ass or whatever, and then for some reason, okay, so at the beginning of the film, there's this llama in the circus whose name is Alistair, I don't remember, the llama guy, whatever. He's really annoying, but I'll talk about him later. So he thinks of Doug as a friend, but Doug doesn't think of him as a friend, and pretty much manipulates him and uses him because because the llama was part of the plan of switching, of having Doug and Boog switch places, but like, okay. So Doug, at the beginning of the film, like, he doesn't think of the llama as his best friend and pretty much mistreats him, but only after all the animals in the woods dump his ass after realizing that he wasn't Boog. He was like, "Oh, I miss Alistair, whatever," and then decides to go back to his friend, and I'm just like, oh, okay. You're suddenly you want to be friends with him again, even though you literally treat him like crap in the first movie. Character development? No, that's not character development. That's just the character suddenly getting better in the most contrived way possible. Yeah, shut the fuck up, Doug. You did not think of Alistair as your friend before, but now it's like, oh, I want him back. Shut up. Shut the fuck up, dude. Shut up. I'm so tired of these characters going through split seconds of development. Shut up. Just shut up. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Just shut the hell up. Just shut up. Like, come on, fam. Like, what would have made this work better was for Doug to act like there should have been a flashback of Doug and Alistair actually being good friends, but Doug slowly, being an asshole over time, and then suddenly realizing towards the end of the film that he actually does miss Alistair. But like, that didn't happen. So it's basically the movie's basically telling me that these two are friends instead of showing me that. That's pretty much what it's doing here. Sorry. And Fifi and Alistair are, again, really fucking annoying. They both suck. They're just annoying characters. Alistair constantly spitting all over people with this bad as fuck Spanish accent. It's just so annoying. Every time he talked, I wanted to just shoot him. And Fifi was already annoying in the second film. He, like, having him here just made this film worse than it already was. Jesus Christ. Jesus anime Christ. Fifi just spends most of the movie freaking out over the smallest things because, again, the dog is just extremely neurotic for whatever reason. And Alistair, not as annoying as Fifi, still annoying. He could have been a good character, but his constant spitting and his constant annoying accent, it's like, he's just so annoying to listen to. I just wanted to shoot him. And, okay, yeah, so there was this scene with Boog in the mini-mart. Like in the first movie, they brought that back here because Boog was at one point trying to have fun by himself with his stuffed animal, Mr. Dinkelman, who wasn't present in the second film for some reason. But whatever. And, like, Boog tries to go and crash. He tries to sneak into the mini mart. He actually just crashes into it with the cart just after the owner leaves or whatever. And then he basically does what he did in the first film, where he just eats a bunch of sugary treats and goes wild. But it's evil. It was done better in the first film. Here, it's just a rehash, and it was a pointless one. It was just not as funny. Sorry. It just sucked in this one. I don't even know why they put this scene here. They could have cut it out, and the movie would have still been fine. Like, maybe have Boog walking around outside the woods, and then he comes across this poster for the circus, and then he goes to the circus. He really didn't need to be in the mini mart again. In fact, like, throughout the movie, the mini mart constantly gets damaged by the wild animals and even the pet animals, and I'm just like. Well, mostly the pet animals, but it's just like, it's not funny. Just stop doing it. Like, stop it. I don't need to see any more of this mini-mart. I've seen it enough times. Okay, so another thing that this movie could have benefited from was having more scenes with Boog, Ursa, and the entire circus family. So, as I said earlier, Boog has a crush on Ursa, and at first Ursa doesn't believe that Doug is a different person because, like, she notices that something's different about Doug. He has a lower voice, and he has a slightly different build. Um, Boog like Boog at first tries to act like Doug, but then over time decides to drop the act and talk to Ursa and try to explain to her that he's a different person, but she doesn't believe him because she's a dumbass. Even though she herself noted that that Doug looked different, but whatever. It's open season. It's an open season movie. A lot of things don't make sense, and so he finally gets her to believe that he's a different person, and she starts falling in love with him. This is fine. It's not bad. I just would have liked to see more scenes here because I feel like there should have been more development between them before they started, actually falling in love or whatever. Like, have more scenes of them just hanging out, talking about things. Maybe having more context for Ursa, like how she grew up in the circus. Because we had that for Boog in the first film, like how he grew up. With Ursa, we didn't really have a lot of that. She just tells us that she grew up here, but we don't really see it, so it would have been nice to have more of that. And again, more scenes with Boog and Ursa, because honestly, they do have chemistry more than Boog does with Elliot. Because again, Boog actually has performing experience, so it works. I just wish there had been more scenes. But no, we have to have scenes with slapstick from the pet characters because they just don't fucking matter in this film. And not to mention that it really would have been nice if Boog had interacted with anybody else in the circus family other than Ursa, because she's the only one he actually interacts with, whereas Doug interacts with everyone in the woods. Like, that would have been nice. Like, it would have been nice to... Because all the other animals don't really like Doug. Neither does Ursa. Like, all the circus animals just don't like Doug. But it would have been nice to see Boog, like, trying to interact with everyone. And then everyone's like, wait, Doug is actually acting like a nice person and not a self-centered jerk? And he's trying to... He actually cares about us? Wow. Like, it would have been nice to have something like that as a parallel to, like, everybody realizing, wait, why is Boog acting like a jerk now? But that didn't happen. So, because again, Ursa's the only one Boog actually interacts with, so it was just a wasted opportunity to have a nice parallel there. And it would have made Boog's character look even better than it is now. I mean, his character isn't bad here, but having that parallel would have made his character stand out even more. But oh well. Let's see what else. Okay, so the pets and the wild animals crash the circus at one point because they're trying to look for Boog, but for some reason they just don't fucking see him. He's not really hard to find. He wasn't hiding or anything. Like, he was literally out in the open a lot of the time, and for whatever reason the animals kept missing him because they're all dumbasses. And it doesn't take until a while for someone to notice that, oh, there's Boog. But for some reason the pets, okay, so they become part of the circus act in order to blend in, fine, but they're actually very good at it. And I'm like, wait, how does that make sense? How are they good at this stuff? If they had participated in, talent shows, like, pageants or whatever, that would have made sense, but we really don't see any of that. Like, we're never told any of that. So it's just not believable. Surprisingly, the pet characters actually do well in the circus, even though it makes no sense for them to. We don't get any context as to whether or not they actually have any performing experience. They just go up there and own it. Yeah, okay. Now, there actually is a deleted scene in the second movie where it was mentioned, where Roger, Fifi's best friend, the bloodhound or whatever, the basket hound, whatever, mentions that Fifi that Fifi actually won a dog show competition or whatever. Not one, but got second place. So I guess it makes sense for Fifi to be good. at being a circus animal, but for the others, it just doesn't make any sense. Sorry. But even so, that was a deleted scene, so again, no context. And another thing that annoyed me about this film, all the girls in Elliot's family are smart. So Giselle is smart. Giselle, Elliot's wife, she's smart. Elliot has 3 kids. 2 of them are girls, 1 of them is a boy. The girls are smart. The boy is a dumbass, just like his father. And I'm just like, why? Like, why are all the girls in this family smart, and why are all the boys dumb? Like, why? Why? It makes no sense to me. I mean, The Simpsons was like that, but at least with The Simpsons it was funny and not so much in your face. But here it's just just in your face, and it's just annoying. Like, it would have been nice to have a little bit of variation. Like, have like 2 of the girl characters be smart, 1 of them be dumb, and like one like maybe have the son be smart instead of like both daughters. Like, one of the daughters could be dumb, the son himself. Sorry, because there's only one. The son himself could be smart, but no, it's just like, okay, make all the women smart and all the men dumb. Okay, yeah, okay, whatever. And the 2 daughters are literally the same character. They act the same. They're voiced by 2 different people, but they act the same. They're both pretty smart. That's really all there is to their character. They're just both a bunch of Mary Sues. And like, they're literally the same. They feel like the same character. They have the same personality. They literally could have just been one character, and that would have made more sense. And even their names are very similar. Gisela and Giselita. Like, that's so stupid. Like, their name, not only are the names stupid, but they're very similar. So that just proves that these 2 characters could have easily been one. Like, just, it's just weird. Let's see what else. Okay, so 2 of the pet characters, they were a couple. They were replaced with a far less interesting one. This guy named, I think his name was Stanley, who's the strong and silent type. He didn't really add anything to the story. He was just a waste of space. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't really do much of anything. Even Roger, the stupid brain dead cat, was a better character. And that's saying something, because he just really wasn't a very good character, not in my opinion. So yeah, this new pet character was just a waste of space. Like, if they had done more things with him, then that would have been fine. But he barely does anything. He barely did anything, and I was just like, okay. Okay, yeah, this movie, I say this movie's better than the second, but it still has a shit ton of negatives. Yeah, for some reason, yeah, I'll explain that later. Yeah, Thomas brought up a good point. Like, all the new characters were forgotten and scared silly. Because, and I'll explain why. Because, like all the new characters in the second and third films were completely, like, cut out in the fourth movie. And I'll explain why. To be honest, I don't miss these characters, so it's not really a big deal, but I'll explain why. Oh, you're on Ice Age 3? Damn. I need to get started on watching the Ice Age movies. I have all the DVDs. I just need to get started on watching them, which I will. Wait, hold on. Oh, damn. Yeah, exactly. They, as I said earlier, they did not need to bring back the pet characters. The pet characters were completely pointless here. They didn't need to be a thing. They did not need to be a thing. Oh shit! I should have ordered Blu-ray. Fuck. I didn't even know there was a Blu-ray collection for Ice Age. Oh well, time to go and swap them out. I'm gonna order the Blu-ray instead and just return the DVDs. I was like, oh shit, I forgot there's a Blu-ray collection. Ah, it hurts. It hurts. Ah, it hurts. Ah well. But anyway, I just prefer Blu-ray. But anyway, let's see. Okay, so another problem with this movie. But yeah, the pet characters in the third movie just didn't need to be there. You could cut them out, and then the movie would not be affected, and would actually be better. Because then you have more time to focus on the important characters, the wild animals and the circus animals. And it doesn't matter to me, honestly. I don't know, I just prefer Blu-ray. You know, it's just, I don't want DVD. I don't want DVD. I didn't even know there was a Blu-ray collection. But that's okay. That's okay. I just prefer Blu-ray. And if there's a combo pack, I get that. I get combo packs whenever. Because, I don't know, I'm just like that. Blu-ray, DVD, I don't care. Fair enough, fair enough. Fair enough. But anyway. So, another thing that's annoying about this movie is that they put in another cringeworthy musical number at the end of the film. To be fair, it's not as bad as the musical number at the end of the second film, but it's still not very good. They basically sing On the Road again, and I'm just like, just because Shrek did it doesn't mean you have to do it. Because at least when Shrek did it, it wasn't annoying. Jesus, anime Christ. Madagascar 3 is better than Open Season 3. That's basically what everyone says, and I haven't watched Madagascar 3, so I can't comment on it, but honestly, I'm just going to take everyone's word for it. I'm sorry, I'm just going to... Ice Age 3... Yeah, not surprising. Shrek the Third. I've watched that one, and yeah, it is definitely better than Open Season 3. Shrek the Third. I actually watched Shrek the Third a lot of times as a kid because I just liked it that much. I'm aware that the movie is the weakest one of the series, but I liked it still. So yeah, Open Season 3 just pales in comparison. Sorry! But anyway. But yeah, there's a cringeworthy musical number at the end of this film, and I'm just like, why are you singing that song? You're ruining a good song. Stop it. At least when Shrek did it, it wasn't bad. When Open Season 3 did it, it was just like, ugh, no, stop singing that song. Like, stop. Like, just stop. We need to watch it together. Ice Age 3, you mean? Or Madagascar 3. You probably mean Ice Age 3. Oh, Shrek 3, I don't mind. Oh. Oh, you mean something. I'm sorry, I'm just confused right now. You mean you don't mind Shrek 3. Yeah, I don't mind it either. Yeah. Honestly, I didn't mind it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I honestly liked it. Although it was the least important one plot-wise. But I didn't mind it. Okay, so let us talk about the credit sequence. Somehow they managed to make something that's pretty. They managed to make something that's usually pretty tolerable into something that's just intolerable. The credit sequence has the llama character and Doug, you know, his best friend, talk about their trips, their trips around the world after the events of Open Season 3. And it's just boring as hell to watch and listen to. And no joke, they literally just, the pictures that they provided were just images with Doug and the llama guy, like, poorly cropped onto the backgrounds. Like, there's even one picture with an actual polar bear, a realistic polar bear. Like, and Doug and the llama guy are standing right next to it. And I'm just like, this is just lazy. This is so fucking lazy. You didn't even want to draw the polar bear. This is just, or any of the backgrounds. This is just so fucking lazy. Oh my god, Maple, don't say that, because you'll be burned at the stake. But yeah, honestly, I don't think Shrek the Third is all that bad. I actually liked it. I think people might be hating on it too much. I honestly didn't think it was that bad. I mean, yeah, it's the weakest, but I don't think it's that bad. At least it's not as bad as Open Season 3. That one was just... I mean, Open Season 3 is not the worst movie of the series, but that's not saying much. But yeah, the credit sequence with the road trip pictures from the llama guy and Doug, it was boring and cringeworthy too. The llama just... everything he says is cringe. Oh, you mean Madagascar? Okay. And I'm just like, no, no, no. It's like, gee man, stop trying to return all these movies. It's like, I must have Blu-ray. I want Blu-ray. I don't want DVD. Sorry, not sorry. I like having Blu-ray. But anyway. But yeah, let's talk about the positives. Yes, there are positives to this film. More than there are more positives for Open Season 3 than there are of Open Season 2. So, the positives. Okay, well, the plot is better than that of the second film. Like, yeah, it was basically using the Prince of the Pauper story, but, like, I didn't think that was a bad idea. And it was executed okay. Like, it was okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. It was okay. Compared to the second film, which was just stupid and had, like, no payoff to it. And the animation was better than that of the second film. Like, the animation actually got better in the third film here. In the second, it was just bad. It wasn't like the worst I've ever seen, but, like, relatively speaking, it was just the worst. It was just bad. It was just very bad. Relatively speaking, it was just very bad. The worst out of all the movies. But they got better with the animation here. So... although it's still not the greatest looking, at least it's decent here. And Elliot, for once, isn't a complete twat here. I know, there is a god, and hell did freeze over. So, and why I say this is, I say this because, like, so at the end of the movie, you know, Boog wants Ursa to come live in the woods with him. Ursa doesn't want to leave, though, because she spent a lot of time in a circus. Like, it was basically her home, and Elliot was actually even willing to let Boog go along with Ursa. He was like, "You should go with Ursa. I want you to be happy." Like, even though Boog was his best friend, he was actually willing to let Boog be happy. He was willing to put aside his selfish desires for one moment, and have his best friend be happy. And I was like, oh my god, Elliot had character development? Holy shit! I was like, okay. But, you know, that doesn't happen, though, because, like, Boog and Ursa end up living in the woods again, because, why not? Because Doug comes back, and then the circus is like, okay, we'll just have one bear instead of two. And Ursa's like, okay, I guess I can leave, even though she literally made a big deal about not wanting to leave because the place was her home. Doug being there doesn't really change that, so I don't know why she's so quick to leave with Boog. It was just a mess. Sorry, not sorry. But, you know, Elliot was actually not a terrible character here. Still annoying, but he did have that good moment, so, yeah, he actually did develop. Yeah, again, yeah, this movie is slightly better than Open Season 2, but that's not really saying much. I'm sorry, it's not. It's just not. Oh my god. Okay. And there was a nice moral to this movie. There was a nice moral. Like, the moral was that even if you have responsibilities and whatnot, you should still try to make time for your friends. Which Elliot did learn a lesson like that, and Boog learned a lesson himself too. That he should try to be more understanding when his best friends have responsibilities. You know. I think that was a lesson he learned. I think, or maybe it was a different one. I can't even remember honestly. Oh yeah, that's right. So okay, so Boog actually befriends the llama guy, but then starts neglecting him because he's just so infatuated with Ursa, and the llama guy gets pissed at him for it because the llama guy and Boog agreed that they would be spending time with each other every night to just talk about things, like have guys chat or whatever. Um, and Boog was like, okay, now I know how Elliot feels. So yeah, like, Boog tries to be more understanding of Elliot. Elliot tries to be more understanding of Boog. So the moral was nice. It was like, it had a better moral than the second film. The second film didn't even it didn't even have a moral. I don't even think it did. Like, Mr. Weenie was trying to present a moral to the audience at the end. Well, really to Elliot, but whatever. But it just came out in such a confusing and weird manner. It was just stupid. But the moral here was better. And Boog actually ends up hanging out with the guys at the end of the film. So, one of the deer, Ian, you know, he becomes a stripper basically a stripper for the female wild animals. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. I mean, he doesn't really rip off his clothes or anything. He's just basically there to entertain them, which is fine. It was kind of cringe, but whatever. And the humor is slightly better than that of the second film. There are actually a few moments that made me laugh in this film. But whereas in the second film there were almost no moments that made me laugh, this one had a few moments that made me laugh. So there's that. So yeah, the humor actually got better, but not by much. It's still pretty clear that the writers don't have a lot of experience with jokes. I don't know why some people try to force humor that just isn't there. It's better not to have a joke than to make a bad joke. Although you can intentionally make bad jokes funny. I mean, Sans and Undertale does it all the time. But when Open Season does it, it's just like, nope! Because, see, the thing is that Sans jokes are intentionally bad, whereas the jokes here in the Open Season series are just... They're just unintentionally bad, and it's just hilarious. But, yeah, the humor in the third movie is better than the humor in the second movie, but that's not really saying much. But yeah, overall, Open Season 3 wasn't as bad as the second one. Some people think it is. I personally don't think it is. But objectively speaking, it is an improvement in overall. But again, this is an Open Season film, so that's not really saying much. And then we have the fourth film. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, so I have mixed feelings on the fourth film. Mixed feelings. Very mixed feelings. Like, it's weird because I feel like it does some things better than the second and third movies, but some things worse. It's like a weird... I don't know how to describe it. Oh, but before we do that, let me go use the restroom, actually. So I will be right back. And if you guys need to use the restroom too, now would be a good time. So I'll be right back. Let me mute my mic. Yeah, there's a fourth film, Maple. Like, I didn't even know that at first. No joke. I didn't even know that there was a fourth film. I knew that there was a third film and a second film. And obviously a first film. I knew about the first three movies. I just didn't know that there was a fourth film at first. Like, when I was looking for the DVDs online, and I saw that there was a fourth one, I was like, wait, there's a fourth film? What? It's like, I knew there were 3 films, but I didn't know there were 4. I was like, oh wow. But yeah, there's a 4th film. And I'll explain it. I'll explain how it ties into the series in a bit, but let me go and use the restroom first. Wait, what the fuck? Norm of the North has 5 films? What? What? I thought there was only one! Oh, that shows how little I know, but holy shit! What the fuck? What the... I mean, well, Alpha and Omega got 8 films, so... I guess anything's possible. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. We don't talk about that series. But, yeah, Ice Age is 5. That I already knew. Although, yeah. Like, ew. Why must bad series get several movies? No. Just stop. Madagascar knew when to stop. Apparently Norm of the North didn't. Like, just be like Madagascar and Kung Fu Panda. Have only like 3 movies. Well, Kung Fu Panda and Madagascar both had a side movie, but as well as extra shorts, but still, like, basically they had 3 movies each, which I have. I'm going to talk about Kung Fu Panda and Madagascar at one point, along with Ice Age and the Shrek series, because I have all those movies now. But anyway, I have this movie on DVD. Open season Scared Silly. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's cool, Thomas. Yeah, and I agree. Scared Silly is actually the best one of the sequels, in some aspects anyway. In some aspects, it's better. Actually, overall, I'd say it's better than 2 and 3. Again, but that's not really saying much. But I'll explain why. There are a few things it does worse, but there are some things that it does better. But anyway. I could barely survive through the first one. I don't know how any living soul can make through all 5 of those nightmarish Norm of the North movies. I don't know either. But some people must be gluttons for punishment, I guess. I really want to rewatch the Kung Fu Panda movies, especially the first 2, since I have very fond memories of those. Yeah, I think you should. I think I'm going to rewatch the first one. Like, I recently watched the first one. If some of you remember, I mentioned it once in Discord or whatever, or in the stream. I watched it during my plane ride to, like, Nigeria early in the year. I enjoyed the first movie. I haven't seen the second or third ones though. But since I had the DVDs now, I might as well get to it. But yeah. What the hell? Well, whatever. Anyway, now let's go and talk about open season Scared Silly. Yay. I already want to stop talking about the series. Kung Fu Panda 2 is depressing. Oof. Oof. That's not a good sign. Okay, I'm sure you guys have probably already read the synopsis by now since I left the presentation on this slide. But anyway, after hearing a scary campfire story from Elliot, the annoying-ass deer, about a werewolf in the woods, Boog is scared beyond belief for some reason. I mean, yeah, some people are scared of horror stories, but Elliot's wasn't even all that scary, so whatever. Now, Elliot must help Boog overcome his fear of werewolves. Meanwhile, Shaw the Hunter, yeah, he returns in this film. And he returns and he's also convinced that there's a werewolf in the woods. He tries to hunt it down, and oops, my bad. Okay. He tries to hunt it down and kill any wildlife that gets in his way. So what he does is he goes to the sheriff and provides evidence, and I use the word evidence very loosely, that there's a werewolf out there, and the sheriff temporarily reopens open season, but tells the hunter to hunt only the werewolf and no one else. Nothing, and none of the other animals. But of course, Shaw's not going to do that. He'll prioritize the werewolf, but he won't stop. But if any other animals get in his way, he'll kill them. But yeah, okay. So to explain this movie, it's meant to be a sort of soft reboot. At least that's how I see it, because it ignores the events of 2 and 3. The second and third movies didn't happen in this movie. They just didn't happen before this movie. I mean, they didn't happen before this movie happened. So it takes place directly after the first film. Although it still doesn't make much sense though, because here's the thing: Mr. Weenie at the end of the first film decides to live in the wild, but here he lives with his owners. Did the writers forget about that? Because that actually led to because the second film remembered it, and that actually led to the plot of the second film. So I don't know how the writers fucked that up, but it's an open season film. Again, continuity doesn't seem to be the biggest priority here. But anyway. But yeah, other than that one plot hole, this movie is basically a soft reboot of the series. So the second and third movies didn't happen. So Elliot doesn't have any friends. Sorry. I mean, he doesn't have any kids. Although, honestly, I'm surprised he even has friends. But he doesn't have any kids, and he isn't married to Giselle. And Boog doesn't have a girlfriend. So, and the pet characters aren't in this one, thank God. Most of them, anyway. Mr. Weenie's still here for some stupid reason, but I'll explain that later. Okay, so let's talk about all the negatives. So the plot is very, very forced. See, but when you watch the movie, it basically has this impression of this thing happens, then this thing happens, then this thing happens, then this thing happens. Like it just literally moves from one event to the other without any sort of logical cohesion. Shit just basically happens out of nowhere, and the characters just go along with it. It doesn't really feel like the plot. It feels like the plot's just going all over the place. Like, it doesn't feel organic at all. And this is why I think this movie actually does worse than the second and third movies, because those plot lines didn't feel forced at all. They were stupid. Well, the second one anyway. The third one has an okay premise, but they weren't forced. But this one is very forced. Like, shit just happens. Like, it's just constant wacky nonsense, which isn't necessarily bad, but this movie doesn't do it very well. Like, this kind of stuff would be fine for Looney Tunes, but for open season, no, it just doesn't work. And there's a lot of slapstick. It's not that funny. Sorry. And I don't know. I think everyone's IQ points went down in this movie by several hundred. Because literally everyone except Giselle, Elliot's girlfriend or whatever, Shaw, the hunter, and Gordy, the sheriff, is an idiot. Everyone except those three is an idiot. Even Boog is even dumber here than he was in the previous movies. He was never really the smartest character, but in the first one he had some level of common sense, but here he's just kind of an idiot. But Elliot is still a dumbass, even more so than usual, although not by much. So yeah. And it's just frustrating because I'm not saying that you can't have stupid characters, but literally it feels like everyone's IQ points went down in this movie for no reason other than to have a stupid plot. A silly plot, like a plot that's just so wacky and out of control or whatever. I just don't like it. And Mr. Weenie is still extremely irrelevant. He did not need to be in this film. He didn't need to be in the third film, and he didn't need to be in this film. Like, I don't know why Sony is so not Sony themselves necessarily. I don't know why the directors or whoever was in charge of this shit. I don't know why they wanted Mr. Weenie to be in like literally every single film. He did not need to be in the last two films. Like, literally, he could have just stopped appearing after the second film, but no, they kept bringing him back. He was pointless in the third film. In the fourth film, he's a little more important, but he's still very, very irrelevant. Like, he just feels forced in, and he just feels forced in here. Like, it's just, he just didn't need to be here. Hell, even Elliot himself makes a comment on how, like, Mr. Weenie, like, just doesn't fit in his gang. Like, you know, Boog and Elliot, like, Mr. Weenie just doesn't fit. Like, he feels very forced. So even one of the characters points this out. That's how irrelevant Mr. Weenie is in this film. That's how irrelevant he is. Like, he just didn't need to be in this film. Like, he at one point believes he's a werewolf after Elliot stupidly accuses him of being a werewolf, but, like, that plot point was just really stupid. And it leads into this cringy ass musical number from Mr. Weenie, and I'm just like, oh my god, stop singing, shut the fuck up, you are so annoying, you don't need to be in this film, you suck. You could have been cut out of this film and the film would have been so much better. And it doesn't really help that Mr. Weenie constantly complains that he's hungry, but almost no one gives a shit about it. Like, no one tries to give him any snacks or whatever. So he just constantly complains that he's hungry, and it just doesn't. This joke just doesn't go anywhere. And I'm just like, why is this character here? Like, none of the other characters give a shit about him. And which really further proves that this is a soft reboot, because in the second movie everyone was actually concerned for Mr. Weenie's safety, but here no one gives a shit that he's hungry all the time. So I just, like, and they honestly sometimes even outright ignore him when he's speaking to them, and I'm just like, why is he even here if nobody else, like, acknowledges his existence? I mean, they do acknowledge his existence, but he kind of feels like Blaze the Cat from Sonic 06, except that people know that he exists, though. It's just that he doesn't really have a reason to be there. It feels like that. He feels like a Blaze the Cat from Sonic 06. And that's not something you want to be in any story. Oh my god. Oh my god. Remember, nobody wants to be a Blaze the Cat from Sonic 06. Don't be that character. Don't be that character. But yeah, Mr. Weenie has a dumb song about singing about becoming a werewolf, and because he's stupid, he somehow believes that he's a werewolf. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't remember Mr. Weenie being this dumb before. Again, the movie literally makes everyone's IQ points go down. It's just so annoying, and the humor is still very bad. I'll point out later that it actually is an improvement over the other two sequels, but it's still bad. Like, it's an improvement, but again, this is an open season movie, so it's not saying much. I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but I'm not wrong. The humor is still hit or miss. It's clear that the writers just don't understand how jokes work. And to make matters worse, there are actual scenes. There's an actual scene where Elliot literally takes a clump of squirrel poop from the ground and eats it. I'm not joking. He literally takes a clump of shit from the ground and eats it. Like, the reason he did this was because he was trying to analyze it, because he thought it was werewolf poop, and he thought that by analyzing it he could find the werewolf's whereabouts. And he decides to eat it in order to fully analyze it. But it turns out that it wasn't werewolf poop. It was the poop from the squirrel character. And he spits it out and freaks out, and he's like, "Oh my god, I ate my friend's poop!" And I'm like, "Okay, so it's not the fact that you ate poop, period, that you're freaked out about. You're freaked out that you ate your friend's poop, not the fact that you ate poop in general." This movie is so fucking stupid, and what makes this even worse is that the hunter guy does the same exact thing later in the series. I mean, in the movie. He finds squirrel poop and then eats it to figure out where the werewolf might be. Or where the wild animals might be. I don't remember. And I'm just like, seriously? Like, that's just so nasty. It reminds me of this one scene in the first movie. I forgot to mention this. There's this one scene in the first movie where Boo needs to use the restroom in the woods, but Elliot tells him that there are no toilets. And Boog's like, okay, well, how do you use the restroom? And then Elliot craps in front of him and then says, well, I don't remember. And I'm just like, ew, that's not a funny joke. Well, they went and just... It reminds me of that joke, except that this joke's even worse. They literally eat shit. And I'm just like, that is just nasty. Ugh. That did not need to be in the movie. So, yeah. Scared Silly has plenty of negatives, although they're not as plentiful. Let's see, how many negatives is that? 7? How many negatives were in the second movie? 10. Holy shit! So, yeah, there are a lot of negatives here. But let's talk about the positives. And there are actually plenty of positives here this time. Holy shit. I know. It's surprising, but yeah. So, oh wait, hold on. Let me look at the chat. Kung Fu Panda 2 is depressing, but I mean that in a good way. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. The third one is the weakest of the 3, but still decent. The second one's even better than the first. I kind of figured that the third one would be the weakest. I feel like I don't know why, but I feel like whenever a franchise, you know how do I explain this? I feel like whenever there's a franchise like The Lion King or Kung Fu Panda or Shrek the Third or whatever, I feel like the moment the main characters start getting kids is when the series will start to decline. I don't know. It's just a trend I've noticed. I don't know. I feel that's just a trend I've noticed. Maybe it's just confirmation bias on my end, but like it's just a trend I've noticed. I feel like when the main characters start getting children, that's when the series starts getting when it gets crappier. That's when the series starts getting crappier, and it's just like I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but it's just something I've noticed. But, I mean, that's not to say that Kung Fu Panda 3 is bad. I haven't even watched it, but if I'm going by what Maple said, it's the weakest of the 3, so if it does end up being the weakest when I watch it, well, I won't be surprised. But let's talk about Scared Silly's positives. So, this movie. The humor is an improvement over that of the previous 2 sequels, as I said earlier. It's better. There are actually a few moments here that made me laugh even more than the third film did. Like, the third film had a few moments that made me laugh, but this one had even more. But again, not by a whole lot. And again, this is, it shouldn't be that surprising. Like, again, it's not by much. So, since this film is part of the open season series, it's not going to be very funny. But the humor is an improvement. I will admit that much. Not a huge improvement, but an improvement nonetheless. And the animation is better too. Even better than the third film, actually. The animation actually looks decent here. Almost as good as the first film, actually. So there's that. So the humor and animation are definitely improved. And Giselle, Shaw, and Gordy are still the best characters. They carry the entire movie. Fight me. Don't, you're gonna lose. But yeah, they're the best characters. Like, Giselle was actually pretty inconsequential in the first 3 movies. But here, she's actually a good character. She's the voice of reason. And she's just done with everyone's shit, and I love it. It's just like... I was just like, this character... Why is she like Elliot? Like, she could do so much better than Elliot. Honestly, she just doesn't... Like, this film did not deserve her. She's actually a good character here. And Shaw and Gordy are also good, too. But it's really only those 3. Everyone else is just mediocre or just straight up or forgettable or just straight up annoying as hell or bad. So let us continue. Hold up, let me look at something here. Okay, so another thing. The plot is more engaging than that of the second film. The second film had a really stupid plot, but the fourth film actually did have a better plot than the second. It was a lot sillier than the second film's plot, but it was actually more entertaining. I actually was entertained by this plot almost the entire way through. I actually liked all the as like I actually liked how wacky the plot was. I just felt like it could have been put together better. That's basically what my complaint was. It just feels like shit happens out of nowhere. Like it's just like stuff happens. That's basically this plot. But I still liked it. It was entertaining, surprisingly. And like I don't think it's better than the third film's plot. I think it's about tied, but it's definitely better than the second film's plot. The first film's plot is still the best out of all of the plots, but that's not saying much. But yeah, the plot in this one actually isn't all terrible. I was actually entertained by it, especially the parts where the hunter was and the two extra characters who were basically the hunter's henchmen who were Canadian because and they were speaking in stereotypical Canadian accents. They were complete morons because why not? I don't know. I don't know. The movie seemed to be making fun of Canadians, which I thought was pretty dumb. But yeah. Other than that shit. Yeah. Let me actually put that. Hold up. Let me put something in the negatives. The Canadian characters were forgettable at best and annoying at worst. Because really, all they just did was, like, say stupid shit throughout the entire movie. It's like, they were the hunter's henchmen, basically. They joined him in the hunt. They didn't really add anything to the plot. Although I will admit that they weren't the worst characters. There were a few moments where I actually did find them a bit interesting, but for the most part, they were just not very good. But yeah, other than that, the plot was actually better than the second film's plot. But the first film's plot is still the best one. And another thing that I liked about this movie is that because it was a soft reboot, and like it had a stronger connection to the first film. So it was like, okay, let's ignore the second and third films and actually like have this one have a stronger connection to the first film in terms of plot. Because it felt like an actual proper sequel to the first film, whereas the other two were just there. Shit just happens in them. They were technically sequels, but they felt less like sequels and more like TV specials, like extra episodes or whatever. Whereas this one actually feels like an actual sequel to the first movie. And it even takes place directly after the first movie, although there's still a continuity error. But whatever. Honestly, that's why I'm saying Mr. Weenie really should not have been in this film, because his presence just basically brings up a plot hole. But you can easily cut him out and replace him with any other character to join Boog and Elliot on their adventure to stop the werewolf, and nothing would change. You could have just had Giselle be there the whole time instead of like show up like sometime during the middle of the movie, but whatever. Like, but yeah, like this movie felt like more of a sequel than the other two movies did, so that's a plus. And the credit sequence was nice. Like there was actually some still images of Boog and Elliot having fun doing things like sailing, skiing, whatever. They were in space at one point. Oh yeah, and the werewolf character was actually real, which was predictable, really. But I mean, I didn't see it coming. But honestly, like anyone, honestly, a lot of people would be able to predict that. But like so when it happened, I really wasn't surprised. But yeah, the werewolf character was actually real. He was okay, I guess. Wasn't really funny, but wasn't terrible. But yeah, there are some images of him hanging out with Boog and Elliot. Oh yeah, and at the end of the movie, I forgot to mention, there's this cringe. I don't know why the open season sequels do this. There's always some dumb musical number at the end of them, and this one is no different. Like, holy shit. Like, there's this cringy as fuck musical number again. there is yet another cringe-worthy musical number. But it's more of a dance than an actual... Like, they play the song, I forgot what it was called. I think it was called What I Like About You. Yeah, they ruined that song. I think it was that song. I can't remember, but the Elliot was dancing to it because he thought werewolves, communicate through interpretive dance or whatever. But the werewolf's actually able to talk just fine, which Elliot ignores because he's a dumbass, but whatever. But yeah, like, there was this dance number at the end. It was cringe. At least not as cringe as the second movie's musical number or the third movie's musical number. At least they just did dancing instead of singing, but still, it was cringe. Still cringe. But anyway. But yeah, other than that, the credit sequence was actually nice. All those images of Boog, Ellie, and the werewolf hanging out were nice. So that was cool. Not the stupid credit sequence at the end of the third film that talked about a bunch of shit we didn't care about. So, yeah. Yeah, the Golden Line car chase was pretty good. I did mention that earlier, not specifically that scene, but I did mention that the scenes where Boog and the others being chased down by the hunters, those were good. At least I think I mentioned it. I might have not. I think I was about to mention it, but I might have, cut myself off at one point. But, because I tend to sometimes I just move from one topic to the other without finishing talking about the first topic, but whatever. But yeah, like the parts with Boog and the others being hunted down by the hunters, those were fun, especially the minecart chase. I actually liked that scene. It was actually full of action. It didn't really make me laugh very much. It tried to, but it didn't. But it was still entertaining nonetheless. So, there's that. So let me add that. The chase scenes were good. And of course, there was the final fight with Boog and the Hunter. Yeah, they brought that back for some reason. I don't know what it is with this movie and rehashing plot devices. It's just annoying. But yeah, Boog and the Hunter have another fight. Boog initially gets his ass kicked again, despite being a 900-pound grizzly bear. And there really is no excuse as to why he sucked so badly here, because at least in the first movie it made sense because he was a domesticated bear and wasn't used to fighting. But here, where he actually had some experience in the wild, you'd expect him to be a little better. But he does put up a bit more of a fight, but still just sucks all around. Like, the hunter's just kicking his ass. But then, like, the hunter gets too cocky and starts laughing and gets distracted. And then Boo goes and takes his ass out. And I'm just like, ugh, seriously? The first film did this better. Like, the first film did this better. Like, the hunter wasn't distracted when Boog took him down in the first film, but here he is, because we need a reason for Boog to be able to win, even though the hunter's kicking his ass, and it's just forced. It's just ugh. It's like, okay, like let's have the villain completely kick the main character's ass, and then the main character wins with a generic attack. I just can't stand that kind of storytelling. Get that shit off my screen. Have the main character win in a satisfying manner, please. But yeah, this movie wasn't great, but I will admit that the wackiness actually kind of helped it. It wasn't as grounded as the first two sequels were. But that actually kind of worked in its favor. So it's like a plus minus kind of thing. It's just like a give or take kind of thing, where shit happens for no reason, but at the same time, it makes the plot engaging in a way. They just could have put things together better, in my opinion. I'm sorry if I'm not explaining it very well. That's just how I feel. Like, it doesn't, like, the plot of this movie just doesn't really feel as natural as the ones from the first three movies. It just doesn't. But it was entertaining, so there's that. But yeah, that is open season. scared silly. Better than 2 and 3, but that's not saying much. Okay, well, that is open season. That's the series as a whole. So, let me conclude this rant stream. So, these movies generally suck. They suck. I'm sorry, but they just suck. None of them are good. I would not give any of them more than a 5. Like, I don't think a 5 is a fair score to give. These movies don't deserve a 5. Not a 6, not a 7, not a 7, 6, or even a 5. They just suck all around. They suck. They're just not good. The writing is weak. The humor is weak. The animation is inconsistent. And honestly, there didn't really need to be any sequels. The movies, the whole series could have stopped at the first movie. Because really, did we need any sequels for this series? We didn't. We really didn't. 2 did not add anything to the series. 3 was okay, but was just... But, like, it felt like the movie was just there to give Boog a girlfriend. And the 4th movie, well, it felt like an actual worthy sequel to the first one. It still didn't need to happen, but it was an entertaining ride, so there was that. But yeah, clearly this series needed better writers. I could have written something better than this shit. Like, although that's not really saying much because the bar was already set so low for this series, so what can you do? So, open season 1 gets a 4.5 out of 10 for me. No, I'm sorry, that's a 4. I'm sorry, like, I wanted to be generous, but I'm sorry, I just don't do I just don't do generosity when it comes to scores. Like, this gets a 4 out of 10. Not even a 5. Not even a 4.5. Just a 4. The first movie gets a 4. Sorry, not sorry. The second one gets a 2. I'm almost willing to give it a 1. I'm not joking. I might even give it a 1.5. Because it was just very bad. It sucked. Even for the series standards, it sucked. The third one, a little better. Still not all that great. Gets a 3 out of 10 for me. The fourth one, 3.5. Better than 2 and 3, but again, that's not saying much, and it's still not as good as the first one. But yeah, like the average would basically be 3 for these movies. For the series, you'd get like a 3 out of 10, 3.5, or maybe even 4 if you want to be generous. Because I'm sorry, but open season is just not a good series. I don't regret buying it and watching it. I came in, like, okay, so for the first movie, I came in expecting it to be a decent ride. Although I talked to my cousin beforehand, and she said, these movies are kind of weak. And I was like, well, the first one can't be that bad. And then I watched, and I was like, oh, okay. Because I remember watching, like, a part of it, like, some of it in the past, but I hadn't fully watched the entire movie. So I hadn't fully watched the movie, so, like, I was like, okay, maybe it's not going to be that bad. No, it was worse than I imagined. My expectations weren't that high, but I was expecting it to be a decent movie, but it's not a decent movie. Some people would say the first open season movie was decent. I wouldn't even call it decent, just mediocre. It's mediocre. It's just, these movies are very lackluster. Like, lackluster at worst lackluster at best and just outright bad at worst. So, sorry. I give the first one like a 6 out of 10, and the second one a 3 out of 10. You are more lenient than I am, honestly. Well, in this case, I mean. But yeah. I'm sorry if my scores seem harsh, but I'm like, just these movies are just not good. They're not. Oh my god. Sony, next time try harder. Maybe a 5 out of 10 I've thought about. Yeah, I think a 5 out of 10 is a better score. Maybe 4 is a bit too harsh. 5 out of 10 would probably be a a more lenient score, but a more lenient yet still fair score. But I it's just like, I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna give the first one a 4 out of 10. You're probably not going to watch the next two. Yeah, I don't blame you for not wanting to watch the next two because, I mean, Scared Silly. If you want to just watch like one of the sequels, just watch Scared Silly. You could literally skip the first two sequels and go right to Scared Silly after watching the first movie. I feel like that's probably what some people would do because who wants to watch all of these? I was just curious. That's why I wanted to. That's why I got them. I could have just rented them, but I was like, nah, I'll keep them. I'm trying to have a movie collection here, so I don't regret buying these, but they are not good. Here are my ratings of all of them. The first one's a 7 out of 10, the second one a 2 out of 10, the third one a 3 out of 10, and the fourth one a 5 out of 10. So your ratings kind of match mine. Kind of. The first one is drastically different, but the other three, the last one's kind of similar in the first, and the middle two are the same. But yeah, like, oh damn, oh shit, oh sorry, I thought I disconnected for a moment. But yeah, like, these movies just generally suck. I wouldn't recommend them to anyone. Sorry, I just wouldn't. Like, it's not something, I'm not going to say, hey, go and watch the first open season movie. I think you'll like it. No. I can't name anyone who would ever say that. I know some people do like these movies, but I don't. I don't hate them. Well, the second one I hate. The others I don't hate. They're just there. They exist. That's all. They're just there. They're just very basic. Like, some effort was put into them, except for the second one. Almost no effort was put into that one. But, like, it clearly wasn't enough. Sony, do better next time. Sorry. Yeah, the first one was kind of likable. I kind of liked the fourth one as well. And the third one. It's just the second one I just want to strangle. Like, I just want to, it's just so, the second one is so bad. Even for this movie series standards. Oh my god. It's just so bad. It barely had a plot. But that's really all I can say about the series. Okay, maybe I should give this one a 4.5 out of 10. I feel like a 4 is a little too harsh. I'll give you a 4.5 out of 10. Because honestly, the first movie is serviceable. It's serviceable. It's not great. It's not even good. But it's not bad. And it's serviceable. You know, it's just serviceable. It's okay. It's okay. It's mediocre. But it's passable. The others are hit or miss. More miss than hit. But yeah, that's all I can say about the series. So, yeah. And I made sure to actually work on this presentation as I was watching the series. Like, I watched the movie, and then after that I typed up a few slides about it. Then I did the same for the other 3 movies. Like, the 4th movie I actually watched today. And yeah, so yeah, I finished this presentation today, but I had been working on it for a few days. Because I feel like it would have been better than just doing everything all at once. The presentation, I mean, not watching the movies. So yeah, that is it for the open season Rantstream. Yeah, so it's not a great series, not even good. It's mediocre, but you might get some enjoyment out of it. I guess, maybe. If not, then I don't blame you. But yeah, these movies just generally exist. They just exist. They exist. And no joke, there's this one there's this one clip where Boog is like teaching Elliot about the new Sony 3D entertainment system. At one point, like he was telling Elliot about the 3D TV that Sony had at one point. Like it was just an advertisement for Sony products, basically. And I was just like, oh, okay. I don't think this is necessary, but okay. Like they're using open season to advertise their products. That's fine. I'm not saying you can't do that with your characters, but like who's gonna care? Because like nobody likes the series, so who's gonna care? Sony, put your efforts elsewhere for advertising. That's all I'm gonna say. Right? I'm not joking, Mabel. You can actually go look it up here. Like, let me see if I can. It's actually a thing. Like, it's even on like the DVD of the third movie. Yeah, I'm not joking. Like every time every time you put in the third movie, like it will play that clip after you watch a few previews of other movies I don't care about. Anyway. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Open season Sony. How to get 3D TV at home with open season Boog and Elliot. I'd play it, but I don't want to like, I don't want to risk copyright or whatever. But yeah, like, no joke. That's an actual thing. Oh, bloopers and outtakes for Scared Silly. Huh. Well, I'm not gonna worry about that right now. And yeah, I've watched a few. No joke. I watched a few of the reviews. I watched a few of the reviews on these movies before like doing this rant stream so that I could better articulate my thoughts, because some of these reviews actually put actually made good points that I hadn't considered, or that I wasn't able to put into words. And so yeah, like that's basically what I did. But anyway, not even the Hotel Transylvania movies are that shameless in their product placements, right? Like I've never really watched like the Hotel Transylvania movies, but I know that, but I've never heard them doing things like this. So it's like, I know it's like, it just feels shameless, right? Like, why are they doing this? Like, Sony, why are you doing this? It just feels so shameless of you to do this. Like, fam, that's just sad. Especially when you're doing it for a series as mediocre as Open Season. Like, fam, just stop. It's just sad. I know, it's sad. But Sony did it. I don't know. I don't fucking know. But yes, that's the end of the rant stream. Oh, and for additional context, that video I was talking about with the whole Sony product placement thing, that was at a time when the PS3 was very much a thing. It was still very much a thing. Like, I think it was a few. When was the PS4 released? All I know is that they mentioned the PS3 in that advertisement. So, and this movie was released in 2006. So when was the PlayStation 4 released? I think it was 2014, actually. Oh, 2013. Oh, so the PS4 was a thing, but they didn't mention it for some reason. Just the PS3. I guess because not everyone had a PS4 at the time. I don't know. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But yeah, like they did mention the PS3 in that commercial. But yeah, Sony, next time if you're gonna do product placements, at the very least, don't do them like that. Like, come on, fam. But yeah, that's the series. I don't recommend it, but if you might get some enjoyment from it, probably not. Honestly, I barely got any enjoyment from these films. I'm not gonna lie. But that's just me. Well, I don't know what else to say. Really. I do want to rant about other movies tomorrow. Like, because I can't wait to rip into Mulan 2020. Oh my god, it's just, oof. It's just, there's a lot to unpack with that one. Everyone just roasted it. And it did not, and it was a financial disaster. Probably Disney's biggest financial disaster. Like, it had a budget of 200 million, and it made only 23 million in the box office. That's 177 million gone. Bye, bitch. You deserve that, Disney, honestly. And the reason I say that is because there's quite a bit of controversy behind the movie's production, but I will mention that in tomorrow's Rantstream. But yeah, that's the end of this series. Again, not something I'd recommend, but if you're bored, I guess you could give these movies a watch. Even though Mr. Weenie did not need to be in this fucking... He didn't need to be in the... It made sense for him to be in the first two movies. He didn't need to be in the third and fourth. He just didn't need to be there. He just... I don't know why the series likes Mr. Weenie so much. He did not need to be a recurring character. To be fair, Mulan 2020 was released during the pandemic, but yeah. Oh, that is true. That is true. So that kind of did make things hard. That is true. It probably would have made, like, maybe, I guess, 50 million at most if it hadn't been for the pandemic, but that's not... honestly, that's not saying much. And I'm being pretty generous with that figure. Who knows how well the movie would have turned out, because honestly, it would have been shat on regardless. Oh well. Poor Mulan 2020. Oof. Okay, what was I... There was one more thing I was going to do, but I can't remember what it was. Shit. Oh well. That and Disney was charging $30 to watch it early on Disney Plus. Disney is just... I don't know what the hell. They're just one really fucked up company. And really, that's not an exaggeration. They really are one messed up company. Even of course, corruption from companies is not unheard of, but Disney takes it to a whole new level. Holy shit. Just holy shit. Like, Jesus Christ, they're just really despicable. $30. Oh wow, yeah, like seriously. I don't even use Disney Plus, so, but like still, that's just too much. Like, I could understand $10 at most, but $30 bucks, really? They did the same thing with Raya. I was about to mention that. For whatever reason, some people couldn't watch Raya without having to use Disney Plus. I don't know why. Disney is just... Because Disney wanted money. That's, of course, it's always them and money. It's always money with them. It's like, you guys have plenty of money. Do you really need any more? Guess they do. Their wallets are constantly hungry. But are there any other things I can say about the open season series? I can't say there are. There are 4 movies. Surprisingly, there's a 4th movie, but there are 4 movies. The first one was okay. The second one was shit. The third one was better, but not that great. The 4th one was better, but again, not that great. Not that good, I would say, but whatever. But does anyone else have any closing remarks on the series? If not, that's okay, because I'm tired of talking about it. It's like I'd rather talk about something else. I think after this, I'm gonna watch the first Ice Age movie. Just, I mean, I've already seen it, but I might as well go watch it again because it was such a good movie. I actually rewatched that movie. That was actually one of the few movies I rewatched, believe it or not. Like, and normally I don't rewatch movies unless they're good. I rewatched Shrek the Third, I rewatched Toy Story 2, and I rewatched Ice Age 1. To the point where I even remember almost all the scenes. But I don't. But you know, it's been a while since I last did any of that. So you know. Oh, you guys don't have anything else to say? Yeah, me neither. Well, that's it then. Just. Oh my god! Fuck some of these movies. But yeah. They're all rated PG. I guess that's fine. They don't really feel very PG to me. Like there's only one. Like they don't really feel PG to me. Like there's really they don't even say any bad words. If you unless you consider crap a bad word, which they say only like once or twice in these movies. So it doesn't. They don't really feel PG. They should have just been rated G. But, I guess there are some jokes that might be a little too crude for the kids. They're not that crude. Ice Age 1 was the first thing I saw growing up. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a classic. I love it. I love it. Now I just need to watch the other 4. Honestly, I was going to watch more of them, but then they came out with more and more movies, and I was like, that's too much. That's too many. I was like, I'm overwhelmed. So I never went past the first film. Even though I've played like Ice Age 2 for the Wii, and I have Ice Age 3 for the Wii. And I played a bit of it, but just to make sure it worked, but I never got past the first level. The second level, really. Because I did get past the first level, but I didn't complete the second level. But, ow, shit, my chest. Okay. So, yeah, tomorrow I think I'll cover Encanto, Raya, and Mulan 2020. All Disney movies. But, you know, that get progressively worse, with Encanto being the best one, and Raya, not Raya, Mulan 2020 being the worst one. Wait, let me look at oh wow, Encanto was pretty, well, I already knew it was pretty successful, but I didn't know how successful it was. Okay, 5's the weakest. Ice Age 5's the weakest? So I've heard. So I've heard. Honestly, they really should have, I think they should have stopped after the third film. Like, they should have. Now, with the open season, something interesting happened in that series, because the fourth film actually ended up being better than the second and third ones. Surprisingly. Normally, after the third film, shit just gets worse. But open season actually went against that trend. But again, that's not saying much. It's open season we're talking about, after all. But yeah. Good thing Kung Fu Panda stopped at 3. If you don't count the TV show, which I've never watched. There were 2 TV shows, I think? I only watched like one episode of one of them. I don't remember. But yeah, if you don't count the TV shows, the shorts, from the Ultimate Masters collection, the holiday movie, whatever, then it's really just 3 movies. I've still never seen the 4th one. I stopped after 3. Yeah, because honestly, do you need to go past that point? Yeah, you just don't need to go past that point, honestly. But yeah, I think what I'm gonna do, I plan to cover before I end this rant stream. I'm gonna cover. I think I'm gonna cover Madagascar first, not this week, but next week. I think I'm gonna cover both Madagascar and Ice Age, and of course I'll have Tammin as a co-star, a guest star. I need time to watch those movies, so I'll have to do them next week. So I think I'll do Ice Age. I'm gonna do like last. So I want to focus on. First. I want to focus on Madagascar and Kung Fu Panda, and then I'll do Ice Age, and then Shrek, the Shrek series. I think I'll do it that way. No, actually, no. I'm gonna do the Shrek series before Ice Age. Yeah, I think I'll do. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do Madagascar and then Kung Fu Panda, and then Shrek and then Ice Age. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll just do that. Ice Age 4 is a guilty pleasure. Glad to hear that. I'll get those watched by then. Okay, cool. Yeah, Ice Age will take me a while to get through, so I'm just going to save that for last. Oh yeah, I remember the Penguins of Madagascar show. I actually liked that one. I even watched plenty of episodes. Not all the episodes, but I actually did watch that show regularly. It was a good show. I liked it. I thought it was decent. DreamWorks. Madagascar was from DreamWorks, right? Yeah, DreamWorks. So, yeah, DreamWorks knows how to make good. They know how to make spin-off shows. They don't always succeed, but they know how to make spin-off shows. So, you're joining for Kung Fu Panda as well. Cool! Yay! But yeah, I did like the Penguins of Madagascar show. I did like it. It was a nice show. So, I just haven't. You know, the weird thing is that I watched most of the first movie, but I've never actually watched all of it. Like, I stopped at the part where. I don't want to spoil it, but there's this part where Alex and Marty get separated for. I don't want to say why, but Alex and Marty get separated and Alex isolates himself from his friends, and then I stopped right there. I did not go past that point because I didn't have time to watch the rest of it when I was watching it as a kid. But I never bothered to go back and finish the rest of it. So I still kind of remember what happens, but I don't remember a lot. So it'll be nice to go back and actually finish it. Although I don't know why it took me so many years to just go back to these movies and watch them. I don't know. I'm just weird like that. It's like I'm not in a rush to go back and finish what I started. But yeah, next time it will be Madagascar and Kung Fu Panda. So I really want to get into those. And then I'll get into Shrek and Ice Age. So like next week it'll be Madagascar and Kung Fu Panda. And then it will be Shrek and Ice Age. Yeah, I was near the end at that point. I did not bother finishing it though. I was like, because I couldn't, but I never bothered to go back and watch the rest of it, so I was like, oh, okay. But I knew that there were more movies. Like, I knew that there were 3 movies, but I never bothered to watch the second or third ones. I did play a bit of. I have played the video game for the first movie, though. I have played it on my computer and on the PS2 at one point. And it was fun. I've played a bit of the second one. I've played the demo. I think it was a demo on the Xbox Live Arcade or whatever, the marketplace. I have played the demo for the second game, the second movie game. but that's it. I don't even know if there's a game for the third movie, but I have played the movie of the movie for the first game and a little bit of the game. I have played. I'm sorry. I've played a little bit of the game for the first movie and a little bit of the game for the second movie. So the whole game for the first movie and then a little bit of the game for the second movie. I'm not making any sense right now. Sorry. You get what I mean. But yeah, like I can't wait to get into Madagascar. Okay, well, that's all I can say right now. Thank you all so much for watching. This was really fun. I didn't get a chance to watch the deleted scenes for and outtakes for the fourth open season movie. The third season didn't even have that. The third open season movie, I mean, didn't even have those. But the deleted scenes, they're okay, I guess. I think like most of them didn't. I can understand why most of them were cut, but I think a few of them should have been kept in. But you guys can just look those up online. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'm Team15. I'll see you guys next time. So again, tomorrow we're going to be covering Encanto, Raya, and The Last Dragon, and Mulan 2020. Just those three movies. But I can't wait to rip into Mulan 2020. But anyway, see you guys next time. So until then, deuces and goodbye.